Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 113 of the Sonic Talk podcast, brought to you by Sonic Stadium. I am your host, Nuckles87, on a sexy new microphone from HyperX. So that's why I sound much better than usual, and much better than I did back when I was using a Wii U headset. Those were the days. And with me today, as usual, we got the usual boring people here. We've got Shigs. Say hi, Shigs.
Guten Tag, how's everyone?
Did you just say Guten Tag? What are you, German? And also GX, Echidna,
So
who
what
just goes by
what's
GX.
what are your thoughts on food in a bucket?
I think we need more food in buckets. All food in buckets. I think we need to have pizzas in buckets. I think we need to have chickens in buckets. I think we need to have, I don't know, fried crickets in buckets.
I am
I've heard
very
fried crickets.
I
Crickets
am
are good.
very anti-bucket at this point. Today I have learned that Little Caesars used to at one point allow you to order a rather large bucket of spaghetti. And there's nothing that I find more reprehensible than the visual image of buying a bucket of spaghetti from a Little Caesars. Up until the point that in another chat room, someone notified me that there is, I believe, like an Iowa chain or restaurant or something that let you get other pasta. And I learned that they could serve you ravioli and salad in a bucket. And
You know what?
that was very upsetting.
I think that sounds wonderful, and I think you should try it.
Absolutely
Salad in the
freaking
bucket
not.
doesn't sound too bad. Ravioli, I don't
You know,
know.
Max, when you get down to it, everything, all pasta is made in a bucket. You've got, you fill the bucket with water. You put the spaghetti in it. You stick it over like a stove or something. Then you boil it, and then the bucket gets very hot, and then it's full of spaghetti. You got a bucket of spaghetti.
But
I
the different
occasionally get pretzel nuggets in a cup, but that's not really gross or anything.
but the problem is that number 1, it's going to be Little Caesar spaghetti, which is not which is in itself already a step down. But I generally pretty
Mm.
much believe that once you put something, you serve it in a bucket, you have basically made the statement that I don't care about the quality of the food that I am serving. Like KFC has proven that for
Alternatively,
years.
they found that a bucket is the best way to make spaghetti portable.
Oh, the bucket is definitely not the best way to make spaghetti portable.
What's the best way to make it
Especially
portable then?
especially with its crappy handle that doesn't work.
Mm. I think you should knock it until you try it.
I no, for many reasons.
You need to get one of those buckets off of eBay or something. Make yourself some spaghetti and then stick
Oh.
it in the bucket.
Oh no, now I'm looking at eBay to see if someone is actually selling one of those buckets.
So there's got to be one on eBay for like $5. People buy anything.
Little
Would it be a plastic bucket,
Caesar
I'd imagine?
bucket. You can get a Little Caesars pineapple bucket hat, but
Okay,
nobody appears to be selling the actual bucket.
okay. Well, buy the hat and then stick spaghetti in that, and you can try it.
Odd. That
Anyway,
that sound
um,
okay. We found the thing worse than the bucket. It's eating spaghetti out of a. It's like that Simpsons joke of the B Sharps episode where Barney's girlfriend, the artist, orders like a hat full of perfume with a single plum.
I'm sure that's delicious for the French. I
Oh.
think that was actually supposed to be like a parody of one of the Beatles.
Yeah, it was
Or a parody
Yoko
of
Ono.
Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we do have things to talk about today, mostly Sonic stuff, but we are going to be bringing back what we've been playing today, and we are going to be starting with GX GX, who has been playing something for once.
Yeah, I've been playing video games. Big shock and surprise. It's not something I do. I could tell you about the series of workbenches I'm building and the tribulations of doing so. I could tell you about the new wood router that I got and the router table. Does any of that strike your fancy, or should I just talk about games?
I mean, are you gonna talk about this for a while or for like a couple minutes?
12 hours continuous.
All right,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
you
maybe
should
the
just get
scope of games.
I think you
Let-
just go with Dave the Diver.
Page 1 of the Bosch plunge router manual. Safety warning. No, so what I've got, I've been playing an obscene amount of Dave the Diver. And mostly because it's weird. I've got a weird setup where I got tired of just trying to hold up a Steam Deck while I am in bed, so I have mounted a monitor to my bed that almost exclusively gets used for just games. Like, just plug in my Steam Deck, turn on whatever I'm playing, grab an 8-bit controller, and just use it as if it's a console. And
So instead of just playing the Steam Deck in bed, you're connecting it to a television and a controller to play it on TV.
in bed, yes. That is the gist of what
I
I'm doing.
kind of feel like you've just gone back to what you would have been doing like a decade ago.
Probably, but you know, it's still the Steam Deck. I can take it out and take it with me if I need to. It is what it is. But Dave the Diver is a game of multitudes. Basically, it is a restaurant management game attached to a action resource collection game. Like, I don't think I would compare it to a Monster Hunter, but it has some of the same hooks that I think people who like Monster Hunter might get out of it. The idea is that, hey, you are the titular Dave, and your friend calls you up, and your little wheeling and dealing friend, and he says, hey, you like sushi? Yeah, well, yeah, I like sushi. Well, come on down. We're going to get some sushi. He goes down there. We're opening a sushi restaurant. And suddenly, Dave just gets roped into helping his friend and the sushi chef kind of stock and operate a restaurant. And the way that the game just sort of flows is you have the day is broken up into 3 segments. You have a morning, an afternoon, and a night. And the morning and afternoon, you get to each of them make one dive, and you have you basically have a harpoon gun, some sort of offensive weapon, or, you know, utility weapon, we'll say, several like little trinkets that you can equip, and an amount of things that you can carry that ultimately you're going to be able to upgrade a lot of them. But you are going down, you are catching fish as much as you are able to reasonably bring up. You bring it up, then once night hits, you get to decide on a menu based on the, you know, what you have in stock and what you think will sell best based on some of the statistics of the meals. And then ultimately you just help operate this restaurant and improve it. And that on its own is not, it's enough to keep me going past, you know, finishing the main story. But a lot of the hook going into it is just some pretty good, some really fun characters and decent writing. It's a game that has a narrative to it. It has a couple threads to pull at, so you're not inherently just running the restaurant. Sometimes it'll be things like, oh no, an Iron Chef style event has started where you need to challenge a rival's chef just for pride, and or like, hey, it's going to be shrimp party time. Go ahead and get ready to prepare a bunch of shrimp dishes to please that. And if you do that, then the night of the shrimp party, people who are all of the shrimp fans will pay extra for any sort of shrimp dishes that you've got, or like the main thrust of it, though, the actual like this is broken into chapter stories, is you are assisting a scientist trying to uncover the secret of the sea people. And it takes you through like a lot of different events, many different, like story specific events. So what this shifts into is, yes, you're always still trying to get things to stock the restaurant day in and day out, but you're also working towards a lot of other goals, whether it be to get materials that you will use to upgrade your weapons, to solve these different side missions that people are giving you, to continue things that they need for the story, or sometimes just to explore for the sake of exploring, trying to find things in the environment. It is sort of a run-based game of sorts, but I wouldn't say it's run-based in the way that a roguelike is run-based. It's run-based
Hmm.
in that it has a handful of layouts, and it shifts between those different layouts like each time that you go in. And you don't get to keep everything that you've got, like the weapon upgrades and such, unless you've upgraded it out of the ocean. But by and large, it's just a little bit more, it's just more focused on exploring, getting resources, improving your own stuff, improving the restaurant stuff. And it had some interesting DLC already.
Hmm.
I figure I'm
Godzilla.
Oh,
yeah,
this is what I want to hear about Godzilla.
well, the first major DLC was for Dredge, the sort of aquatic horror
Ooh.
game, and what that adds is every so often, every couple of days, a red fog will go in, and you can select at night one of three sort of diving locations. And rather than facing the normal fish, you're going to face particularly difficult fish that are just absolutely effed up looking. Like just weird, gross fish that have like their brains hanging out or have like extra mouths or just a bunch of eyes. And the idea is you can get these fish and you can bring them up, but the only people that will eat them are these bizarre hooded figures that just appear on the nights of the red fog. So it's the only night where you basically catch these fish, and you can make a lot of money by getting a lot of these fish and selling them to that. But you're also going to need stuff for people who aren't going to eat the disgusting horror fish as well. The Godzilla stuff is more story focused, I would say. It's not very long. Well, I should specify, there's not like a lot of it, but it has some noteworthy moments. The
Can you
idea is,
Godzilla into sushi?
I thought that was going to be where it was going, because I don't remember any of the kaiju names. Maybe you remember. There's a crab or a
The
lobster
Ibera is the
kaiju.
sea
Ooh,
monster, the giant lobster.
the
Yeah,
giant lobster was Ebirah.
that's actually the one.
Ibera, yeah.
Yeah, Ebra.
Which is
But
I
like the
just watched a
weakest
bunch of
monster
Showa
that looks like
movies.
he's fighting Burning Godzilla, which is like the one of the most powerful Godzillas.
but effectively, hey, Godzilla has to heal. He decided to rest in this place where your sushi restaurant is. You and I guess someone from the
Well,
Godzilla
that's what he would
tracking
usually do, yeah.
squad or something are going to check on him just to make sure that he's all right. And I don't want to give up everything that's in it, but a big chunk of it was, hey, can you help us find all of these Godzilla figures that are in all of the places that you've already explored in the game? But there's also like big story events like, hey, you have to fight a boss, you have to go like check out Godzilla. There's at least two boss fights in it. There's at least some story stuff. There's like a weird underwater fight scene that you have to participate in. It's neat and it's interesting. It's got some nice shifts, but by and large, like it's just a good vibes game. It's a good game to kind of chase down, okay, what's the story of this character? I want to continue to pursue that. What's the next thing that I can unlock for my runs? I'm to the point now where I've collected every fish I can. I am kind of just there's not a whole lot left for me to do other than just sort of achievement hunt and maybe just continue to upgrade, but I like it enough and I can fit in like a good run or two before bed or after I get up to just kind of keep going. But I'm definitely to the point where like I'm probably approaching 90 hours and I am running out of things to do in it other than spend money on upgrades and but I mean for its cost, like can you really complain about that much, reasonable content? Um I've got sitting on my desk Super Mario RPG from last year. Got that for a decent deal, so I'm looking forward to
Oh yeah, I
trying to.
did. I was gonna mention I got that one too. Yeah,
Nice. Maybe we will have joint discussions next episode.
the music's fantastic. It's just so good.
I want to get the soundtrack for that, but then I also want to get the music from the recent Mario versus Donkey Kong remake. What I've heard of that has been really good too.
I've been I've been considering Dave the Diver, but I don't know. Like I guess don't haven't been playing many games lately.
Yeah, it's like it's good that if you just want to poke at it for a bit, but
Yeah.
but I don't know. It like I said, it hits me in sort of the exploration and upgrade sort of task completion portion of my brain. Like it's good for just setting out like, okay, this run I want to catch this fish, I want to complete this event, I want to upgrade this dish, and let's see if I can accomplish that. What am I going to have to equip? How am I going to operate my run? Where am I going to dive down at?
Hmm. Okay. So hello?
Yeah, I am still here.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys went silent for a minute. So Shigs, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing a free to play fiesta of games.
The only
Basically
one,
everything that's like live
the only
service.
one I really care about is the Star Wars one,
Yeah,
but
I've been hearing people talk about the Star Wars one at the very least.
Surprisingly,
but
not bad.
going all of them.
Okay. I guess I'll go with that one first. I was planning to go with the last, but I'll go with that one
You
first.
can save it for
It's
last
just
if you want.
all right. For this minor things, like Speedstorm got Kermit the Frog in as a racer, which if you're brand new to the game, you're not going to be able to unlock him. They have to have you have to do these missions with characters like Oswald, is already hard to get at like level 20 and such. And unless you're like me, who's been playing the game from launch, it's going to be near impossible to get all these characters.
Hmm.
Unless you
Yeah,
pay.
yeah. Well, even then, like you can't buy shards for Kermit until you at least unlock him through these missions. Otherwise, the only thing you can do is buy these little what do they call those? Like a blind box of either mechanics for the racer or the shards for the racer. So you'd be getting a bunch of Muppet mechanics that you can't use because you don't have a racer. You would occasionally get one or two shards of Kermit, but you'd have to keep paying and paying.
What do you think they're
So it's not.
actually what do you think they're actually going for in this? Like do you think it's like, okay, we're
I don't
just
understand it because, like with Fortnite, if it's off season and if it's not part of the battle pass, you just buy it direct. You don't have to go through like all these missions to try to unlock it. And if you can't, then you're just out of luck unless it shows up. Shards end up randomly through other contests and such. It's just a over. It's just I don't know how to describe it, but it's a poor way of unlocking stuff just to get you to try to spend more money.
do you
Compared
think
to
that
how Fortnite does it, because Fortnite, you get a battle pass, you unlock characters through gameplay, and then if you want like Captain America or something, then you pay like an extra 15-20 bucks. But that's on you, you know.
Whoa, Jesus.
Not necessarily that much, but
I'm wondering if they're
still.
just hitting such diminishing returns on it that they kind of
Oh,
have
I
to
think
lean
so
hard.
because they are eliminating the voices. Like they have the Wreck-It Ralph season that's just about to end, and I've already unlocked all the characters, but the
Hmm.
only ones who have voices now are Ralph and Vanellope von Schweetz, and everybody else does not. And when you don't have those voices, it takes away a lot of the personality of those
Yeah,
characters.
I see that. I'm looking at Kermit and Speedstorm, and he really is just Kermit in a tracksuit, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. And he can customize his car and such. But
I
anyway,
thought I thought the Speedstorm
outside
character.
of we were speaking of Fortnite for a second. They do have a new season now. It's called Wrecked. It's quite a bit better than the last season where they're just doing a kind of a Olympic heroes theme. I mean, I was kind of happy that they were very steadfast to that theme where every unlockable character was based on Greek mythology and stuff, but it was kind of also a little bit boring. This one, it's very Mad Max, where you use the cars that are on the map, and you can upgrade them with weapons and extra tires and everything, and have nitro, so you can boost real fast through everybody. And what's surprising is, despite the very Mad Max theme it's got going for it, and it came out right at the time Furiosa came out. There was no
Mhm.
Furiosa, cross promotion thing, which would have been made perfect sense. Instead, you get the Steel Knight from Fallout, one of the Steel Brotherhoods, and later on, I think in July or whatever, you can unlock Magneto, which Steel Brotherhood would not want to go up against Magneto in any way. I don't even understand the purpose of Magneto being in it because
Can't imagine
it's like
why.
you got a gun against Magneto, he's just gonna stop the bullets.
I mean, I
But of course,
guess
these are just skins. They're not actually the actual characters. That's how they
I guess it's
explain.
because of X-Men '97.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, that's why we have to have bizarre, jacked Peter Griffin and weird, skinny Optimus Prime.
When do
oh
we
yeah,
get
because they have to meet within a hitbox and
when
take
do we
in
get
particular.
Sonic
So
with just, like, really long legs?
Muscular
I do like
Sonic. Absolutely
I do like
jacked Sonic.
Sonic and Knuckles standing on each other's shoulders to make a
Perfect. I am
one
all for
person.
that. I would either like that or I would like the version of Fortnite where everyone has to be built like a brick wall, like just like a Dorito chip in their pecs of both of any gender, obviously. But yeah, just build every. I want to if we're going to still have frickin' Rick Sanchez in that game, make him the size of a bus.
Okay, well, speaking of Rick Sanchez and others, Multiverse has come back after about a year of hiatus because I guess the last time it was just a beta, even though they were selling a $40 version of it last time, where it suddenly just went off the. You couldn't get it online unless you want to just play an offline version for a while.
It was a
And
weird scenario.
yeah, and so in case you didn't know about Multiverses, it's basically Warner Brothers doing a Smash Brothers style where they're
Yeah,
mixing all the Warner Brothers characters, no matter who it is, because
and
this
they are really
season,
nickel and diming people.
it's Joker and Jason Voorhees and the Banana Guard from Adventure Time. The good news is, since I had the game previously, I when it came back, I still had like 2 tickets left for unlockable characters, so I was able to unlock the Joker automatically, and also the returning any returning players get the first season pass for free, and the first thing you unlock in the season pass is Jason Voorhees. So
Hmm.
yeah, like him too, and he's a tank. He's extremely powerful, but he's very slow. But one of the things
I've
that's
heard that
cool about him is
the
instead of a
game has
dash
some
attack,
issues.
yeah, if you
Sorry,
do a
go on.
dash attack with I Y, he kind of disappears into the background. when
How
he
are
reappears, if he's near you, he does real strong damage.
how are they handling their season pass?
Um, it's the same as before. You can well, the new thing is you can either play, one on one or two on two, like regular fighting matches. But now they have a Rift mode where they have story chapters and everything. Like it's plays out kind of like a story, and you're doing each chapter. And that's a single player game thing where you're unlocking extra extra currency, but it's not the Gleamian currency used for the battle pass. It's something else.
Hmm.
And actually, it's this green currency. If you collect enough of it, you can unlock a hero that way as well. But basically, like right now, there's a chapter where you have to fight Joker and minions that he's kind of mind controlled, and after that, you're going through a mystery with Velma and Batman through a bunch of different chapters, and you can
Well,
play who you
so
want through those
so how
chapters. And
how are you
then the
actually
second one is
feeling
a
about?
Jason Voorhees horror chapters. Now that in itself is actually a pretty big improvement because that's where I'm doing my main gameplay through it. Is I'm not really playing one on one like online multiplayer too much. I do it a little bit, but yeah, I'm just basically doing the Rift thing. It's similar to what Speedstorm has, where when they do a season, they have a bunch of little chapters break up, and it's just races with quests in them. That's what this is. This is just with each little chapter thing, you got like a multitude of quests as you're going through it.
Hmm.
Do you feel like is that locked behind a season pass or some sort
No,
of
no, no. That's free. Except it's kind of locked in that there's some areas where you have to play a certain character. So if you don't have Joker, or if you don't have like Jason Voorhees and the horror
hmm,
ones, there's some areas where you can't get through.
that's kind of disappointing. Like,
I've heard.
Yeah, well, I think you can play without the Joker, but you get less of these. It's
So
you
they.
don't you're not able to
So
do one of the 5 missions in that particular chapter
so you've
area.
got to. So you've got to play a specific character to do any advancement in the season pass. And as I understand it,
Well,
there's
in
only
certain
like
parts.
five. There's only like five characters unlocked like at a time.
Yeah, I think it depends on how many you unlocked previously. Plus, there's like 2 that are time limited that are free to play during a certain amount of time if you haven't unlocked them. So
So
it's
how does the
free
gameplay
entry.
compare to Smash Brothers?
It's similar, but it's not quite as strong as that. I think the reason they brought in that Rift thing is it's similar to Smash Brothers kind of story mode where you're constantly advancing through these little areas. Because otherwise, it was just a straight multiplayer game of one on one or two on two.
Hmm.
It has the same things where you can charge up your light attacks or your heavy attacks are also very strong depending on whether you're doing up, down, left, or right and knocking them out. But basically, it's the same game with quite a few little extras.
but
I still don't get the toast thing where you can, if you had a good time with the opponent, you could send them toast. I don't know what toast does. I still don't know after like a whole year
so
if it's
I
just a
guess
little compliment.
the thing I'm curious about, like, I haven't got a good sense yet of how you're feeling about it, because I've heard
It's all right. It's not my favorite, but I like it enough that I'm still playing it.
the
It's no Smash Brothers for sure,
the weird
but
vibe I'm getting from it is like when the first
the thing
version
that's keeping
released.
me around is because it's the only thing that's keeping me around is because I played in the last year when it was still in beta, and I have a lot of the characters this year, to play as, except the only ones I don't have are ones I chose not to get yet, like Rick and uh, Rick and Morty. I don't have them. I don't have Garnet from Steven Universe, but I have Steven Universe. I don't have LeBron James.
but
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 other than that,
but like
LeBron James.
I guess the thing I'm trying to get at is the vibe that I'm getting online is the idea that whenever it originally launched way back when, it kind of like it was a surprise. It was a pleasant surprise. It seemed to be doing well enough. It seemed to have some interesting ideas that functioned well enough. And then as soon as this second version launched, that kind of went downhill. Like,
It's
does it
kind
feel
of
like
weird, you know,
Yeah,
somebody's
like, yeah, they got
I've
this
heard nothing but bad
because
things
now
about
they
it.
put less focus on the multiplayer, on the main game itself, and put all these rift things and these events, like if you're doing daily logins or if you're leveling up characters, you get rewards that way.
So does it
And
feel like they've sort of focused on the things that could be better monetized as free to play events
yeah, they're
rather
they're, de-
than
they're definitely focused more on carrot on the stick, carrot on the stick kind of thing.
hmm,
Here's what I
that's
wish these companies would do. I wish they would just like, okay, we're gonna offer this free to play. You can just download it. You can just play it. But if you just want to unlock the entire base game, just pay us for a full price game, and we'll give it to you. And then it's like
That's what
you'll have
they
to
originally
you'll
I
have
did
to
was
pay
actually when
you'll
they
have to pay
first launched
extra for the
multiplayer.
DLC later or something.
Yeah, when they first launched Multiverses, if you did the $40 version, you've basically got all the characters plus like 3 or 4 tickets for more characters in the future. They didn't do that this time around. They just made it the free to play game.
the
Eh,
the issue that you're going to run into with that is that will probably help justify the cost of some of the base game stuff, but then to continue it with continuous content is probably going to be what's rough. I don't mind the idea. My ideal scenario is sort of what some companies are doing with like the unlimited season passes. Like you can buy you can they will release season passes. You can get that season pass at any time. You can complete the stuff in that season pass at any time. It's not
Yeah,
restricted by
Helldivers 2 is doing that, and
yeah, I think
that's kind of a
that's
cool idea.
That's an idea I can kind of get behind. If you're going to make a games as service game like that, then don't FOMO me. Just let me
yeah.
complete it in the way that I want to complete it. Like I understand the economics of why trying to sell something at a set price just isn't, you know, as ideal as it seems to the base consumer as it seems like it's what I want. But then at least give me something that will work with the way that I play games, rather than the way that you want me to play games.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a
Yeah.
big problem I have with Speedstorm. The only reason I stick around with Speedstorm is that the soundtrack, the way the game handles and everything and operates. The main game itself is fantastic. It's very solid. It's a great kart racer. It's just all this BS, with the microtransactions in the front screen that's holding it back from being a great game. If they just sold this as a single game, it would have been fantastic. Okay,
Yeah.
we got 2 more, and I want to put them out as soon as I can. Mainly going to focus on Star Wars Hunters, but real quick, I'll get through X Defiant, which is a Ubisoft squad-based game. It's 4 on 4, mostly like cap capture the flag, king of the hill kind of thing, where it gets you into certain areas so everybody's finding each other. It's kind of interesting in that for it's kind of like Overwatch, but not quite. It's if anything, it's more like Call of Duty multiplayer, where it's very fast. You're gonna jump in, you're gonna shoot at people, you're gonna die a lot. But the good thing about this is if you die in less than a second, you can press X to respawn and go back into the map. So it's death is not something that's really gonna hold you back much. You're just gonna get to the respawn point and go right back where you were before and keep fighting. And I'm actually pretty good at this game. Um, the meat of it is they're taking their properties and putting them into this free to play game. So like with Splinter Cell, you have spies like that can have an ability to see everybody on the map if they want, or they can make themselves invisible. One of them, I believe. They have let me see, the Division, where I believe you can. There's 4 characters that they can do from the Division. They can do like shields and other such stuff. Let me see. Let me go over to the factions over here. No, that's the division. Sorry, is they're
Oh wait,
called cleaners.
so
They're
okay, I got a little confused about the properties. Is this all Clancy verse?
mostly Clancy verse. See the all. So they have three characters from five different franchises in Ubisoft. So you have Tom Clancy's Division, which are cleaners, where they have like flamethrowers and other pyro attacks. So they're powerful. They have Ghost Recon Phantoms, and I think those are the main ones for to have the shields and what have you. There's a Far Cry 6 characters. They have different abilities than Watch Dogs 2, which you have to pay to unlock them for some reason, and the Splinter Cell category, which I mentioned before.
Man, they picked a bunch of bland franchises to use.
I know it's
I
basically
mean,
everybody. It's basically
is
any
it
normal humans in a normal world games that they can pick from because it would make less sense for them to have like Assassin's Creed and Rayman and
so this is like
Rabbids
basically
in it.
just this basically just like a crossover of all of their like military stuff then.
Yeah, but like I say, it plays surprisingly more like Call of Duty in that it's really fast paced. That each
Huh.
matches are only about 5 minutes long. You get in, get out. Um, you die a lot, but you also can respawn like in an instant, so it doesn't like really matter. I think this will go well with the Call of Duty crowd, but not so much with like Overwatch crowd because these characters do not really have much personality to them. It's just their abilities
You don't
themselves.
say.
There's no real personality. Yeah, so if you want something with personality, then I'd go to Star Wars Hunters, which is from a group called Zynga, which are
I
not known
think we all
for
know Zynga, man.
quality. They're not known for quality,
No, well,
multiplayer
they're
against two
they're
octaves.
they're not. It's not that they're not known for quality. It's that they are largely known for imitating existing projects in a mobile space, or like just having sort of manipulative monetization schemes.
Oh well, this one does, as far as whenever you get to to the home screen when you first turn it on, it puts you right in the shop first. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Oh, I
But,
hate it when games do
this
that.
is a game that they were starting in development in 2018. They announced it in 2021 for that year, and then it got delayed and delayed because they weren't happy with it, it just wasn't right, so, uh, you know, uh, uh, like they say, a game that's rushed might be bad, a game that's, delayed and worked on could be good later, and I think that's what happened here. Now, I'll say one thing about the monetization. You do not need to buy any annual pass if you don't want to, unless you want this Mandalorian character that's in the game.
Ooh.
Otherwise, all 12 characters are unlockable through gameplay, and the longer you play, the more characters unlock over time. Uh, I was kind of addicted to this yesterday, and then for the first 3 hours I played, I unlocked five different characters in it, and every single character has their own little kind of battle pass ish that's not that you don't have to pay for. It's free, and it increases their levels, it unlocks cosmetics for them constantly. So the fact that you can have um, all 12 of the main characters unlocked just through simple gameplay is astounding. It's and leveling them up as well. I'm really shocked that they went out with that, but at the same time, they are putting all these shoving these microtransactions in your face quite a bit, um,
Mm.
especially in the store and that. But none of it's really necessary. There's two ways to buy stuff. It's the purple crystals and it's not 90% of it, 99% of it, in fact, is cosmetics. Purple crystals or this gold credits that it can only be used for like one thing in the store. Uh, but outside of that, yeah, that's it, and it has a pretty horrible homepage as far as going through everything and that. They have challenges and quests like they do in Fortnite, but there's there's challenges and quests in the arena pass, which is their battle pass, or challenges and quests in their events page in this other area. And it's like instead of having it all in one spot, it's spread out, which makes things confusing. But the main thing of the game is that it's Overwatch meets Star Wars, kind of meets Fortnite as far as it's third person over the shoulder, and it has that kind of gameplay style as far as how it controls and stuff. You even have an emote button area where you can, but you don't have you don't do dances or anything. It just
Ooh,
allows you to
emotes.
play stickers instead.
Hmm.
So basically, you have different kind of matches. You have death match. You have the like capture the flag in certain areas thing where you have to dominate different spots on the map, and it has one where you have to hold on to a droid, and everybody else has to protect you as you're carrying it from getting caught by other players. But what's really unique is the characters all have different personalities to them. There's like one called Imara Vex, who's a bounty hunter, and she's got like
Of course.
she's the main she's the first character you buy. She started off strong, but now she's like one of my weaker characters for some reason. She has a rapid fire gun and then a little rocket launcher that you can do for extra damage. They have one called Ziana, who's a resistance fighter who is your healer. She only has one pistol that she can use, but she has a health grenade. So the best way to play her is to have a more heavy tank or heavy hitter character and follow them around to keep them healthy. Which is she works best on the like I said, like the capture the flag, capture the base areas. They have a Wookiee that what's interesting is it's not all shooters. Like the Wookiee is all melee.
Ooh.
He's a tank, so he takes a lot of shots before he can get killed. Plus his roar heals him, but he has a dash attack where if he smashes you into a wall, it stuns you, so he can just attack you regularly. And my favorite so far is the Sentinel. It's a stormtrooper with a mini turret gun on him. He's with it, and if you get in the right spot, you can turn on a shield with the mini turret to keep players away and mow them down unless they sneak up on you from behind. And each of these characters have different ultimates. Like the Sentinel one has Sentinel, who's my favorite. He's got the best one in which he can call for backup, and suddenly three other stormtroopers come down, or is it two or three? I forget which exactly, and they'll attack the players and defend what base you're on,
Hmm.
or help kill extra players that way. But yeah, each one has different ultimates, very similar to Overwatch in that regard. Uh, yeah, and every single player is different. Like they have Jedi, a Sith. My favorite, which I haven't unlocked yet, is two Jawas standing on each other's shoulders to make it look like they're full human.
Well, that sounds
Yeah,
like a
different
cute game
abilities.
at least, but
And yeah,
how fun
and
is it?
it's got the Fortnite type of graphics to it. But what's interesting is why is it only on Switch and mobile? So
I'm guessing that's just what they could afford to put it on. Like, as I understand, this thing's been in development for like 4 years.
yeah,
So,
graphically it's decent, but not overly impressive. It's 30 frames per second on the Switch, but and I will say they give you a lot of customization as far as controls do. You can do gyroscope, or you can adjust the buttons and that to your preferences. So I was really happy to see that.
I wouldn't be
And it's
surprised if
very addictive game as far as like you're trying to set goals, you're trying to unlock more hunters, and they constantly got that carrot in front of the stick thing, but this time it's done pretty well, I'll admit. And I decided to play more later, but I don't understand also why this is mobile. I tried it on mobile, and and since you still got to move with one joystick and and camera control with the other, having to do that with the touch screen, it's kind of difficult because you also have to when you're firing, now it's auto fire on the phone. So as soon as you get
eh,
close to somebody, they'll start automatically rapid firing. And then you
That's
have
probably for the
on the
best.
screen, you have your little special attacks you can still do.
So,
Uh,
like,
level
how
up.
fun is it?
It's pretty good. I mean, if you're like an Overwatch fan or Fortnite type fan, you might enjoy it. Most of the matches are short; they're like 5 minutes, but they're often get a winner before the 5 minutes is up.
Hmm.
So,
Do you
considering it's
feel that
constantly
works
short
for?
games,
Do you feel that works for its structure?
yeah, for the way its structure is, because it's just a small arena based shooter. And the trailer
Kind of
doesn't
sounds a
really
little
sell you to it,
Splatoony.
huh?
I said
Kind
this
of.
kind of
I
sounds a
wouldn't
little
say
Splatoony
kind of. I don't know if I'd call it that
in
exactly. I
terms
mean,
of like short matches and small arenas and stuff.
yeah, that's
Sounds
pretty
more pick
okay.
up and play ready.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not a major arenas, and like I said, they have tr- the death match, and then they have the capture the flag stuff and more. But what's interesting is since your characters can level up slightly, um, if and, they give that feeling of pay to win, but it's not really, because those are just when you unlock the hunters as you level up those hunters. Plus, the interesting thing is when you start the game with your character, you are doing bots for at least the first like 5 levels of the game, almost an hour, just so you can get used to your character and level them up to a place where once you're starting online, you're getting into rank mode, actually experience, instead of just letting you just jump into rank mode, with a weak character who's unexperienced, and you're gonna get slaughtered. So I kind of like that they're doing that kind of thing to it. Uh, Overall, this is way better than I was expecting. The trailers just made it look kind of a bland cash grab. The fact that it'll take me probably a whole month to unlock all 12 or something at this rate. Because at first they were unlocking at a decent clip, but of course the more you play, the longer it takes to unlock each character for experience. But still, they're all free eventually, so that's good.
Okay.
Although they still have that option where you could pay to unlock them early if you want, like the Jedi and that. But
Well,
one thing in the
if I like this,
multiplayer
I could
is
see
that
myself
if you
spending some
want,
money.
yeah, if you want to play these characters early, there's a event currently called Matchup Clash, and they select a random character for you. So sometimes you'll be able to play a character you haven't unlocked yet
Huh.
and try them out. So that's kind of fun.
Well,
Yeah, I
my
mean,
rule.
as far as a free to play game, it doesn't feel like you have to buy anything. So unless
Wow.
you really want that Mandalorian, you
Well,
know.
my rule is if I like the game, I'll toss him some money, and I think I might give this a shot. Sounds
I
like
did
I might have a
for the
good time.
Mandalorian character because he's a pretty good one.
How much
He's
was
got
he?
his own
I
like
forget.
jetpack. The battle pass is $10 like most ones,
Oh, I could see myself spending $10 if I enjoyed the
and he's got
game.
like a jetpack dash. He's got a huge leap that when he leaps and hits the ground, he does a major damage area.
And
And of course, he can shoot around and everything. Oh,
just to refresh my memory, this is the only way to unlock him, right?
yeah, this for this particular character, he's the only one where you have to
All
have a
right.
battle pass to unlock him.
Okay.
Everybody else unlocks through gameplay, or you can spend money if you want, but it's not a I wouldn't
Well,
suggest that.
if you're done, I guess I should talk about my live game.
Yeah, I want to hear about
You
something
got a
other than the
special live service
economics of
game.
free to play games. So tell me about the
Well,
economics
it's
of
tough.
this
You're
free to
about
play
to do
game.
that too.
What were you saying? What were you saying, Shigs?
You say, well, tough. You're gonna be doing that, especially
Uh,
another play to play game.
yep. Okay, so out of the three of us, I am the only one who actually got to play in the Sonic Rumble closed beta. Which I kind of figured at least Shigs would get in because, you did not wait long to
Oh, I got
send.
in almost as soon as they announced it, and I didn't get in,
Yeah.
which
Now
shocked me.
what I did because,
I couldn't.
I'm a slimy person is when I heard when I like heard about the website before the announcement, because the Midori leaked it. Before I covered it or tweeted it or anything, I signed up for the closed beta. Now I did it because I needed to like make sure it was working and stuff before I reported on it. But I also got in early, and that guaranteed me a spot. So yeah, I'm kind of wondering if if that's kind of what screwed you over, was just the fact that it got leaked. But they got so many entrants that they actually had to expand the initial number for the closed beta that they were going to do.
And I still never got an email.
Yeah. But regardless, okay. So Sonic Rumble is a mobile-only, free-to-play game as a service game that is coming this winter. Um, and a bunch of us Sonic fans got a chance to play the closed beta, and I have to say, purely as a game of that type, I had a lot of fun. It has great music, great presentations, got an opening cutscene that fits the game into the larger Sonic lore.
Bull
There
crap.
are now
Don't you
there are
lie to me, sir.
there are there is a canon reason why this is happening. It's because Dr. Eggman has sent Sonic and all of his friends
It's not
toy
canon
versions of
until
themselves.
they reference it in another game. Right now,
Eh,
it's just an isolated event that supposedly doesn't disagree with existing events.
Nope, it's a canon. It has it has a cutscene, it has a story. Dr. Eggman sends Sonic toys out to all of the Sonic's friends, and they use them to compete in these little toy-sized racetracks and arenas.
I will not tolerate, sir, your Ian Flynn BS definition of what does and does not constitute canon.
Look, like it has a story. That just makes it canon. I'm sorry, it's how it works. So one thing that made me very happy about this beta is that even though it doesn't officially say it anywhere, it did work with physical controls. You could not remap them. You could not even see like what controls did what. You just kind of had to press buttons on the controller until you figured things out. But it had them, and they work pretty well. Like I was basically playing it like I was playing on a game console, and that is how I personally recommend playing it when it finally comes out. Um, Now I will say that and like on the physical controls, the characters control quite well. Like this isn't like Fall Guys where they're very slow and clumsy, and like you're kind of
Oh,
fighting the controls and while you're trying to get around. Like
that's
everything
good to hear.
controls
Because
smoothly.
yeah, that's good to hear. Because I do like Fall Guys, but the controls are always feel like
Yeah,
they're just
Well, they're
flopping
supposed
around
to.
half the time.
That's kind
they're
of the
supposed
point.
to in Fall Guys, but that's personally why I never really got too into it, because it's like it's a platformer with worse controls. I get how that's the point now. That's like it's funny and there's like a skill in navigating that, but that's not something I personally want to deal with. And this you don't. Um, so the controls are for the characters are great. They've got decent jump height. The platforming is very smooth, and there's plenty of instances where you've got like speed. Like there's boost pads. There's rings. There's sorry, not rings. There's loop de loops that you'll just get sent through. There's home instances where you can send yourself forward with the homing attack. There's all this stuff, but unfortunately, though, like when you are like just walking around as your regular character without any assistance, you are still pretty slow. And personally, I think that that's fine. The game is built around that. A lot of other people were complaining about how it either looked slow from the videos or just how it played too slow. Personally, I think that the game needs like a modest increase in its speed. Like, just so that the character doesn't feel like they're plodding along. I think you could do that without breaking what's in the game. But like so like don't go into this expecting a super fast racing game. But for what it is, it's just like a sort of a simple platforming game from an obstacle course. Quite fun. Um,
Well, the fact that they're toys is kind of the explanation they can get behind, Sonic and the
yeah,
other things for the
yeah,
speed.
true,
So,
true. If you want to like look into the canon, the toys are slow. Now, like that, you can there is a way to start your character off with a boost, which does get them going at a slightly better quick at the start of the stage, which is when you're generally moving the slowest. Although it seemed to me that it was just something that kind of came and went. I don't know. It wasn't a mechanic I entirely understood in the beta. Now then, going back to physical controls, one of the issues I did have with it was that you could not remap anything, and so like the attack like the attack button is on like a trigger. Is on the left trigger, and that's just kind of awkward. When it's like you've got the face buttons are like for stickers and emoticons. You can send those out using the face buttons, which is just I don't know, just feels like a pretty random decision. But of course, the key core part of this game is the obstacle courses themselves. Um, Now, I will say, because I know GX brought this up in Discord, you can learn these stages a bit, but each one of them are filled with random elements that create an amount of chaos throughout the race course.
That's a pretty big step up from Sonic Force's Speed Battle.
Oh yeah, like Sonic Force's Speed Battle, and then all of the chaos comes from the enemy from like character attacks, and
And even
that is just a
then,
massive pain in the butt
the character
because you can
attacks
just
are kind of they're not that difficult to dodge unless you get in a really bad spot. But
they can
otherwise,
get
like
really bad.
all the stages though are just they're completely learnable, which is not really
Yeah.
what you want in sort of a race game unless it is an actual like racing game. And you know,
So like Green Hill, like every stage has these elements that you can homing attack, but once you've done that, the players behind you can't, and so they have to like jump up the steps or something. In Green Hill, there's like this area where there's like these like wooden panels that players push on, and you kind of have to just like reach critical mass in order to get through it. Like all the players have to push through it on one side, and if like players are pushing out from both sides, it'll like it won't move, and you'll get stuck for a second. And Seaside Hill, there's these like random panels that some of them allow you to move forward, some of them don't. There's stuff like that, and it kind of works to randomize the course and also kind of bottleneck players a bit. Like keep them from getting keep the people who get an early lead from like getting too far ahead or being ahead for very long. And so it kind of also just doubles as an equalizer, and it really does kind of help. It really does help make the races feel, I don't know, just less predictable, less like you're going through the motions, which like you said, can happen in forces. Uh, but I will say that um actually no, that's for round three. But and so like all of the ring running courses that make up the first round are fun. Like they are all solid platform action racing courses. There is not a stinker in the lot of them. But then you get to round two, and that's kind of where the game's design flaws do rear their ugly head a bit, because there's some good ones, some okay ones, and then just some bad ones. I don't know if either of you have watched my plethora of videos that I've posted, but so like there's this thing. There's a the round two is can be one of three game types. There is survival, there is team play, and then there is was that it? Um, Survival, team play, and oh yeah, and hunt. For which for that last one there's only one. What, actually no. okay, but so there's team play, survival, and hunt. Team play is you're put on one of two teams, and you have to like get the most points or get through the end of the course. Survival is just outlive the other players, and hunt is just hunting a specific thing. And like for me, how good it is really depends on just how engaging the actual like course design was. So like Frozen Factory Team, it is probably one of the worst things in the game right now because all you're really doing is you're on this ice donut, and there's water in the middle, there's water outside of it, and the goal is to avoid being turned into a frozen cube by these big ice rays that just constantly blast across the course. And if you get frozen, then when a player gets frozen, a player from the opposite team has to knock them off to score a point. And the issue here for me is that one, it just isn't a particularly engaging game. It feels like a Sonic Shuffle mini game that you're forced to play for like 2 minutes.
I mean, it sounds almost like some of the multiplayer stuff in Superstars on that level.
Huh. I don't. I guess I'm not. Oh yeah, that. Okay, yeah, I think that's probably a fair comparison. But and like dodging the ice rays just gets progressively more impossible as they get bigger and as they start hitting faster. And by the end, it is just a random mess. Like there is basically just no skill involved at all at that
I mean, that
point.
does
You are
sound
just
very
done.
Fall Guys.
Yeah, yeah, but and like hitting the ice cubes, also the physics for them is just kind of awkward. Like you hit them and then they just kind of like just fly, just like there's just no physics to it. But then we have Sky Sanctuary Team, which is like a kind of a racing course where you have to navigate through it with your team. So like through the first few parks, you have to knock these giant balls into these holes, and you have to coordinate with your team to make sure that the balls don't get like stuck. But before you're able to get them into the holes, so like there's a certain amount of coordination and teamwork involved in doing that. And then once you get through that, you have to work together to hit a bunch of switches, and then you have to get through these pipes that randomly open up, and the team that manages to get those players through to the end win. And it's based off of Ring Race, so it's a lot of fun. The way the team mechanics work, I think, is fairly clever because like there's no communication in this game. There's no like voice clips or whatever. So like you can't like coordinate who's going to move what ball, but you can just kind of tell just through what everyone's doing, what needs to be done, and then you can move your character to do that. So like so like that is kind of what the scope of quality we're dealing with here. And then it's like Green Hill Survival. It's just surviving. It's just not getting knocked off by a Dr. Eggman's mech. Simple. It's okay. Not very engaging. But Seaside Hill Survival. You are navigating a side-scrolling obstacle course, trying to keep out of the maw um of a giant robot fish. Forget what those are called. Um, and so that's very engaging. Probably my favorite of the round two games. Um, and it's like you can get like some really close calls with that, and so it's just really tense and fun. And then of course we have then Silent Forest Hunt is just you hitting a bunch of flowers and then like avoiding spotlights, and there is a stealth element to it which does make it kind of engaging. um and like it does change things up near the end where you actually have to hide in some bushes to escape some giant like robot spiders that will come down from the ceiling to grab you. um but like overall it's like round two is much more of a mixed bag, but there's still a lot to like about it. Honestly, my biggest issue with round 2, while playing the actual beta, is it needed way more variety, because it felt like I just kept getting the same few stages every single time.
I know
And then,
whenever Fall Guys would deal with this, it would be like every season it would get a couple more different kind of events. Sometimes themed around a certain thing. I could potentially see them doing similar around like specific zones. Like, hey, we're gonna dump some assets and be able to create some new challenges out of that.
yeah, like they already do reuse the zones across all 3 rounds. So and like some stages like Sky Carnival actually have version 2s already in the beta. So I've got to imagine that that is the plan. But Starlight Carnival version 2 is probably one of the best stages in that game. Um, but okay, so round 3, it's just getting more rings than everybody else. And this is where I kept kind of hitting a roadblock where I really struggled to like figure out the different mechanics of each stage to get the most rings. And I don't think I ever actually won a game outright outside of like my first time, which may have been against CPUs. Um, but 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 like basically like each stage you have to do something to just get a bunch of rings. So like in Chemical Plant, you just kind of have to run around this arena type area, uh getting as many rings as you can. You can go up into pipes and platform up into higher areas to take down slides. All this stuff gets you rings. In Starlight Carnival, you run through this circuit, gathering as many rings as you can. Every single time you make a circuit, you get more rings. Um, and so, and that is probably the one that I typically did the best on. But and then like and Frozen Factory is just one where you get in an arena, and it's covered in snow, and the snow slows you down, but like it's covered in speed shoot power ups that will allow you to move through the snow faster. And once you move through the snow goes away, and that makes the player's overall ability to move easier. But it's I don't know, that is
How
again probably the worst one.
how are you feeling? Okay, in general, then, how
Hmm.
are you feeling about the level design in it?
I think all of the ring racing, I think all of the, I guess, outright ring run courses are a lot of fun. Like, each one of them is full of all these cool gimmicks and stuff, like, that differentiate them. And, like, and like some of them get, and a lot of them will have like multiple pathways you can take, which I think one is like a punish. I think sometimes just a punishment for messing up, but other times it just kind of feels like a way of spreading out the players to keep things from getting too crowded. And like I said, all the round 2 stuff's a mixed bag, and but most of the round 3 stuff outside of Frozen Factory is again pretty fun. Like in the actual course design is good. My only real issue is that in round 3, one of the things that you get a lot of in round 3 is you get attacks, and the way that seems to be dispersed, like you get a lot of difficulties getting attacks. And I felt like I was getting hit more than I was actually able to get the attacks, because the player gets an attack and then it's just gone. And then if you're like 2 seconds, and then if you're like 2 seconds behind them, you are now the main target, and then you just get hit. You lose a bunch of rings.
I mean, whenever I
Um,
watch some of your videos, it looks like a lot of what the actual heavy air quotes combat in it is just like, hey, you initiate an attack and you just do a homing attack on a character that
yeah,
you're nearby. Like that's
yeah.
that's the
That is
entire extent of it.
that is all the attacks are. They're just a quick way of depriving other players of rings and getting yourself a bunch of rings. I think it was normally like 300 or something. Um, and like I feel like if maybe those attacks are dispersed better, they'll probably work better. But I don't know. uh
It just seemed to me it just doesn't sound like it's a mechanic that makes a lot of sense for the type of game it is.
I mean, it makes sense to me because if you are behind, it does give you an extra way of like depriving the top player of rings because the top player is shown like, and so
Okay.
you can target them with stuff like this. And a lot certain courses like Lava Zone will like end with with basically like a fight arena where it's just full of of attack power ups and rings, and that's when the players can just like duke it out to try to get enough rings.
I can
And
see that as the balancing mechanic. I guess I would just think of something more along the lines of like the way you handle Mario Kart items.
yeah, so like the top player probably should get weaker attacks. That would actually do a lot to balance things out. And like because there are two kinds of attacks. There's like a ranged attack which can attack multiple players. Then there's just like something that's basically just a glorified homing attack. But overall, aside from some balancing issues and the and a couple of bad round two stages, it's a lot of fun. And the music is superb. Like it's just full of all these awesome big band music tracks.
Yeah,
It's probably like it's easily like the best mobile Sonic soundtrack since like Runners.
well, most of them were either hard light recycling a lot of like classic mobile sounds or just pulling things from the Sonic archives of just
Yeah.
existing music, or just what Sonic Dream Team having a basically acceptable soundtrack, but not particularly noteworthy. But yeah, hearing
But
this
and
one,
still,
just the
I could appreciate a good remix if done right.
Like speaking of Mario Kart, I personally do like think that the soundtrack does remind me of Mario Kart 8.
I can believe it. Mario Kart 8 has a really solid soundtrack. Sometimes remixes of other songs, sometimes original compositions, but its tone, like you said, sort of the big band take on what it's doing is it lends itself well to the types of compositions it has.
And by the way, we do have some of those tracks sort of on our YouTube because I guess like muted the sound effects and recorded that. But so like if y'all want to hear some of that, but so in addition to Ring Survival Mode, which is the mode I've been talking about this whole time, probably should have mentioned that. The game does have one other gameplay mode, and that's called Challenge Mode, which is a single player mode. Um, and like you basically just have to get through a stage within a certain amount of time, or in the case of the Egg Robo survival stage, survive for a certain amount of time. And this is something that's just kind of that is kind of ties into the season pass and the whole economy because doing so like okay the season pass in this was represented via the Fearless Pass, which you unlock with 100 red rings. And you get red rings by doing challenge mode. And so like
Hmm.
basically you unlock challenge mode by earning bronze medals in the Fearless Pass's free season pass part. And once you unlock all 4 challenge mode levels in the beta and complete them, you have enough red rings to unlock the premium Fearless Pass, which has the Pirate Shadow skin and the Dark Chow and the Dark Chaos Chow and all the better rewards. And I'm assuming in the final game, this is where people are going to be expected to spend most of their money. Um, and once you've unlocked the Fearless Pass, you do still need to advance through it. You advance through it by collecting these green gems called XP, which you get from the races and from character requests. For the first couple of days, it was Amy, and for the final day, it was Eggman. You complete character requests by doing things in Ring Survival, which get you additional XP. Once you have enough XP, you unlock additional things in the pass.
So what are the kinds of additional missions that they would ask you to do?
It was mostly just like destroy a certain number of rocks or hit a certain number of springs. Um,
Does it feel like that would so I guess I'm trying to pick at like what where could this go right or wrong? And my thought process here is like, okay, is this something that you would be doing anyway in the game
it's
or
something that you would be doing anyway in the game. Like
okay.
sometimes it did depend on whether or not you got a certain level with springs because or with rocks because not every level has springs or rocks. But like I just like advanced through Amy's character requests by just playing the regular game, and I accidentally maxed out Eggman's character requests by accident uh, while I was trying to record music on the final day of the beta. So like, so if it's anything like that in the final game, then the big roadblock for character requests is going to be the fact that eventually you complete them. And so if you need more green XP, I don't know if maybe if you'll be able to like pay for a cooldown or something, or like technically, like I say, you just get the green XP through survival mode, but I've got to mention this whole thing will probably be on a time crunch in the final
Oh
game.
yeah, I'm guessing a lot of the we'll say barriers have been lowered for the sake of this beta. I would be surprised if things are a little bit less available, like such as the way that you had been able to show off a lot of the characters in some of our
Yeah,
videos
yeah.
that might not be as accessible. They might not want you to
So
have that many characters in the final
I will
game.
go into that I will go into that in a minute, in a second. But first, I do want to say that once you unlock the Fearless Pass Premium, you are still gated off from advancing further at various points, which you need to unlock with more red rings.
Mm.
And in the closed beta, you unlock those red rings by completing hard mode in each of the challenge courses, which I just want to say on its own, challenge mode is a lot of fun. Like, it's not something I'm gonna revisit a lot, but it's not something I felt like I was suffering doing it. Like, especially in hard mode, because hard mode has a lot more obstacles and stuff, and so it feels more built for single player. So, like, it's a fun mode. But so when it comes to the entire in-game economy, my primary concern is how much money am I going to be expected to pay for these season passes? What will these season passes have? Will these season passes be time limited, or will they be like Halo Infinite, where once you buy it, you can go through it whenever you want? Will the season passes be done via red rings, or will you have to pay for it? And
I am going to answer some of those questions. Obviously, I'm not speaking with factual information, but I would say look at everything Angry Birds is doing because of the way that Rovio is involved with this, and you can expect it to be the bad version of this.
Does red
well,
ring seem to be the main currency as far as where it's hard to get, and it's probably the one where you're gonna have to pay?
red rings. I was only able to get red rings via challenge modes. You can only complete each challenge mission for red rings once. So I'm going to assume that is the premium currency. Now,
Ah,
now other Sonic mobile games are fairly lenient with red rings. So I'm hopefully this game will be the same. Like
Well,
I'm
they
hoping that.
also define what red rings represent in different ways. Like they work on different scales.
Well, in both Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Mobile, um, they are basically just used to advance you through unlocking characters faster. So so like in Dash, you can use it to get additional retries during a during a run, which is vital for unlocking getting more character cards during an event. And in Forces, you can use them to unlock additional mission chances for certain characters during events. So it does kind of feel like they're being used in a similar context here.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, like how they use the red star rings is going to determine whether or not this is a, like, I guess, a modestly predatory game that, we're all used to by now, or a very predatory game. Now, at the very least, unlike Angry Birds 2, like, I don't see I don't see a gambling tower here. Which is
Not yet.
nice.
Not yet.
And that was
No,
how
you're
Angry
still in the
Birds
early
2 broke
beta.
me. So long as they don't add that, I'm probably good.
They
But
have
anyway,
months to figure out how to convince children to gamble.
so the closest thing this game does have to a gambling mechanic so far is that okay, so we're going to the store now. The store, the very first thing you're going to see is the daily prize, which is how you unlock avatars. Every day you have a guaranteed chance to unlock one avatar skin, and that this is done by the characters moving very quickly along a conveyor belt, and then you hit the screen, and then a claw comes down and grabs one. And theoretically, you could time it to grab a certain character, but in practice, it is just random.
Yeah, I
And
even if you could time it right, like there's usually ways that behind the scenes they try to manipulate the end result like a claw machine actually does.
But so like once after that first guaranteed try, which you get 5 additional tries, and during those tries you can get, it's mostly ring boxes, and you can get dupes of skins you already have. Um, and once those 5 tries are up, in the closed beta, it went into a cooldown until the following day. I'm assuming in the final game you'll be able to pay for additional tries. Um, but like I still managed to unlock a decent number of avatar characters on both versions of the game I was playing. But like we've said, we don't know how generous the final version is going to be. And then finally we have like the proper store with all the character skins and stuff, and the stickers and the emotes and character animations, and all that stuff is bought with rings that you earn in races. Now, the most expensive things were the premium characters, like DJ Vector and Detective Tails, were 50,000 rings apiece. Now, throughout the event, like they had this community event where they were like giving out more and more rings every single time players hit a certain goal of having of playing games with the Fearless Shadow sticker equipped. And that is how I was able to unlock all of the characters, because like by the end of it, they were just throwing rings at you. But even without that, I do feel like I could have. I felt like I was already on my way to unlocking at least one of the expensive characters, as well as a bunch of the cheaper ones and some other things. Like I doubt I could have gotten much further over the weekend, but I think things were still moving at a pretty decent clip, and like but on a single modestly successful ring survival thing where you don't win, but you're able to get to the third round, you can get like 3 to 4,000 rings, and the cheapest character is 5,000 rings. And so like two races is generally enough to just unlock one character in this. And overall, the whole economy of unlocking
Yeah.
things in the store
I
felt quite fair.
I'm wary of putting too much stock in that because they probably want people to unlock things early for the closed beta.
That is certainly true. That's something I was going to note and will be noting in my preview that I've been writing. Um, but as it stands, the things do feel fair. But as per usual, like it does feel like something that could easily be turned to something more exploitable.
Yeah.
Really, it's all just going to depend on what the final ring drops are. what the whether or not they like gate off getting rings in a day or XP in a day. There are plenty of ways they can put limits
I
on these things
I think
that could
I think
break
what
the
I'm more
economy.
interested in beyond just like, okay, how you get more characters, which sure, is
I love
just like
characters.
I understand you love characters, but that's how they abuse you as a consumer, is they prey on that. Uh, uh, but basically, I'm looking at this and just thinking, okay, how long do you think you would actually stick with this? That's the
I
major
mean,
question. Like
it,
take the character aspect out of the equation. Like obviously, yes, any Sonic game anymore is going to have character collection because they understand, again, that's how you manipulate the audience into spending money.
so here's the thing. I usually drop a mobile game between 1 to 6 months, and it usually depends on how exploited I feel.
That's a long time
So,
still, actually.
like, Simpsons Tapped Out, I played that for a few months. Fallout Shelter, I played for a month. Um, my previous stints in Sonic Forces, I played for usually like 3 to 5 months. Um, I think Sonic Dash until recently was my longest stint at 6 months. Way back in the day.
Are you talking
Um,
like daily plays, like checking in once a week? Like, what are we talking here?
just popping in and playing whenever I feel like it over the course of those months. It's like, so like semi-regular play out, sometimes daily, sometimes not. Like Sonic, I would say that I've still been playing Sonic Forces Speed Battle, but I have not touched that game in 2 weeks. But going into that, Sonic Forces Speed Battle I've now been playing for over a year now, and part of that is due to just Sonic Stadium stuff, but it's also because I find everything in the game pretty easy to get. Like the rings, the characters, everything. I'm able to get it in the time allotted, typically without spending any money. I have only spent money, I think, once in the past 6 months. And it was because I messed up with unlocking Surge. I was, but that was on me. I had like multiple days to finish that, and I just didn't because I wanted to record it. But regardless, though, like, on the whole, like, I don't feel exploited. And so for me, how much I play this game is going to depend entirely on the economy. Like, I because
Okay,
already,
hold on, hold on, because
yeah,
that's a weighted statement here. Are you saying
yeah.
that you feel that strongly about the gameplay that they have in it, that you think that the economy is the only aspect that would either make or break it for you?
I was about to get into that, but yes, I found the game to be a lot of fun. I could see myself revisiting it whenever they do a new event or a new character or something, because it's just fun and engaging, and I enjoy the courses, I enjoy the music, I enjoy the how everything looks. Like, this is probably the most fun I've had with
Mm.
a multiplayer Sonic game ever. I mean, like, okay,
Well, that's good to hear.
not counting Sumo Digital. I mean, like the actual like Sonic multiplayer games. um, I definitely like it more than Riders, but that's because Riders, is Riders. Um, but like, yeah, so like it's a lot of fun for me, and so long as I'm not feeling like the economy is asking too much of me or making playing too difficult, then I'm probably gonna stick with this. Like, because that's ultimately where Sonic Speed Simulator lost me, was that it just wasn't very fun. It got boring
It has
after just a few hours, but this one I still felt engaged by the end of the beta. Like, I
yeah,
was ready to do more.
I'm looking at some of our coverage over by Phelan Stars. Hey, if you care about that Roblox game at all, go check it out because he and Ryan Number One Gamer have been putting together some pretty significant coverage of both that and like guide coverage to kind of help figure stuff out. It's the kind of thing where, like, I might wanna check in on that because it sounds significantly different than it
Have
was
they like
whenever I first tried, but when I
have
first
they added additional gameplay elements?
it seems like there's, like, at least a lot of exploration or something in it. I mean,
Huh,
there was a
I
lot of
might have to.
exploration. It was mostly exploration to begin with, but the loop was nonsensical. You just
Loop was get faster,
and then
max out,
prestige,
and
and
then
then get faster, and then prestige, and then, like,
yeah,
it's just a
and that got
weird,
boring.
tight loop. Yeah.
Uh, But so for this one, it's just so for this one, if the economy is good, if I don't have to spend more than I want to, then I could see myself sticking with this. I kind of wonder if I might end up dropping forces. Like we might have forces and dash coverage just completely crash if this game ends up taking up too much of that time.
I
Um,
I am I think the thing that might make or break it for me, and, like, I will absolutely give it a shot, like, I'm interested enough in that way. If they offer some sort of controller support, or
well,
heavens forbid, a PC version or something, that
well,
might
like
be
I like I
something to
said
entice me,
earlier,
but
I played this game completely on a controller.
okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember if you actually okay, yeah, that's something, like, I could just that's the type of thing where,
Hmm.
hey, I'm already in
Wish they
bed playing games with my giant monitor. I'm just gonna hook my monitor up to my tablet and be like, "Oh, yeah, maybe I'll play an hour of this in the morning."
You were gonna say something, Shigs?
I wish they at least put some of these up on the Apple TVs, not the arcade
Hmm.
area, of course, but the paid.
This feels like
Like
a game.
even Star Wars Hunters, where it definitely feels like it needs a controller to work properly.
This feels like a game that
Uh,
desperately needs to be on consoles. I
Now,
really want
when
this
you're
to be
playing
on
it,
consoles and PC.
do you feel like it needs camera controller? Is the camera fine?
Like, I think the camera I never mess with, so I think it's fine. Like, um, generally things are just at a fit perspective, at a set perspective. Like for the more arena type things, it's just up in the air and like you're down below and just tracks your character. And then for the racing course stuff, it just sits behind you and there's no like exploration in this game. So I never really felt the need to move it.
Like,
But you could,
it's obstacle course gameplay.
yeah. And not like in the Fall Guys sense where there's like some like sort of like I
I
know
mean,
that
I've
the Fall
it
Guys had a few levels that weren't linear.
I mean, I've seen it's not uncomparable to the Fall Guys style of design. Like you said,
Yeah.
there's places where it tries to funnel players, there's spots to kind of slow down or speed up and,
All I mean
equalize.
is that Fall Guys does have a couple levels I recall where you did want camera control, but this one I haven't encountered anything like that. Um,
That's good to hear.
so like yeah, like I hope the economy isn't too exploitive, and I really hope it comes to PC because I like playing games on my devices. I guess on my iPhone and iPad. I guess like I plan on getting a PlayStation uh thing for my iPhone once they upgrade to the 16 layer this year. But I would much prefer to play this on a PS5 or a Switch or a Steam Deck. But yeah, like I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully the final game ends up being fun. So, do you guys have any other questions?
Uh,
I'm pretty
Nothing
good.
from me.
All right, so,
You
oh
went
right,
into quite a bit of detail.
the next thing is also me. Okay, I'm not going to be too long with this, but another thing I have done recently is I did go to Bahama Bucks because I live in Florida, and although there is not one near me, which is stupid, there is one like on the way to my parents. So I stopped by on my way up for Mother's Day last month, and I got a small Sonic Snow and a Shadow Snow, and the Shadow Snow is the better one by a mile. It is very delicious. It is it is this cherry.
It's shave
It is like
ice,
this.
right?
It's blue. Yeah. Bahama Bucks is shaved ice, and it's cherry flavoring with Oreos, with Oreo dust on top. And I am shocked at how good the Oreos were on it. Because when I first heard about that, my thought was, oh, this sounds like something where the Oreos are just gonna get like soggy. But
I mean,
no, like
ice cream has Oreo. You can like cookies and cream
uh,
is famously
yeah,
very.
but like I don't know, that's cream. This is ice, so I just kind of figured it would melt and then
They're both
it would.
liquid. They're both liquid, my dude.
I don't know. I guess thought Sonic Gross, but it was actually really good. It's easily my favorite. And then there's also the Sonic Snow is a tangy raspberry flavor with Sour Patch sauce, and I've never been a huge fan of raspberry. Like I like it more now than I used to, but I'm just I don't know how to describe it. Like, is raspberry tart or something, or but just it combined with the Sour
Slightly
Patch
tart, but
sauce.
it's usually sweet.
Well, this raspberry sauce combined with the Sour Patch sauce made the whole thing just a little too tart for me, and I do not like tart at all. Like, or maybe it's sour. You know what I mean. But I was
Right.
just I was it wasn't a bad flavor, but was
Describing
not
foods, the podcast.
not my favorite. But regardless, um, but I will say that like there were some Sour Patch like chunks deeper down that were pretty and a nice bit of variety to the snow and the flavor. So yeah, like I, I definitely recommend if you have a Bahama Bucks in the area, if you like shaved ice, go check it out. Definitely one of the better Sonic food promotions that they've done recently. Much better than the IHOP one,
The
which is
IHOP
good, which was just like
IHOP
IHOP
one
food.
was they designed an Amy food, they designed a Shadow food, and the rest was I don't know. Let's just name it a Sonic thing. Blueberry pancakes,
Yeah,
yeah, blueberry
stuff
pancakes. It's
that's already
Sonic.
on their menu.
All that stuff was on the menu, I think. Um, and Knuckles just had a chicken sandwich for some reason. So, all right. So that was my experience at Bahama Bucks. I'm hoping to do a write up and a video for that soon, but we will see. I have not found the time. But so moving into news. Um, so Sega released their fiscal report last
They
month.
had to turn their head and cough.
And Sonic sold 5.92 million units, which was a pretty significant decrease from last year, where Sonic Frontiers was just an absolute juggernaut of sales for a Sonic game.
Well, they had a new
But it
game.
was we had a new game for this as well. Sonic Superstars. Yeah, the
Is
fiscal
this
year, previous fiscal year
Oh,
ended in March. Port
okay.
came out in May.
So is this all of 2023 then?
This is all of 2023. Yes.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought it was just the first quarter or so of 2024.
But it still did better than 2021 with Sonic Colors Ultimate. And in addition to that, Sega went into some other things like they highlighted the Sonic IP licensing revenue growth, which has increased by tenfold since 2019, which is freaking massive.
It is. I don't know how long they can actually maintain that because I feel like we're eventually going to hit it peak and then start to see it go back down.
Like I think for me the question is Sonic going to remain a licensing juggernaut long term, like a lot like other like long term successful IPs that can do that, or is it just gonna crash like
I
Sonic has done in the past?
I mean, to me, I've I've had the sort of philosophy in my head of like I don't know what Sega says no to because it doesn't seem like they say based on the Sonic merch that we see, it doesn't seem like they say no to a lot of things.
They actually at their licensing expo, which they had a few weeks ago, they had like a whole bunch of Sonic merch that is supposed to like kind of entice licensors. And among the things they had was a picture of an old Brazilian indoor playground that
Oh,
wasn't even official.
my dude. I think I use that as a streaming background every so often. Is it like Green Hill decorated and has like it's in sort of like
Yeah,
a
I've
fenced in
seen this
area?
one.
Yeah, but yeah, and it's
Oh,
indoors, and it has like a mix of classic and modern Sonic characters and random Sonic X art. Um, but Dave Ludy reported on it back in 2019, and Sega just like had a picture of it there at his licensing booth, almost like, "Hey, yeah, someone did this. This seems like a good idea. Just come ask us." At least that's the impression I got. But yeah, they're definitely ready to. Okay, I don't know if I can say this on our podcast. Um, uh, they're ready to sell Sonic to the highest bidder. We'll say to anyone.
sure. I know what you're trying to I know what euphemism you're
Yeah, I know
trying
what
to.
you're trying to say.
Yeah,
Look, look, look.
I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so moving on. So also Sega is going to be at Summer Games Fest. Big surprise, like they missed the last few. And Izuka is going to be attending IGN Live there. So they're going to be interviewing him, I assume. Uh, there's not too much I can say
No,
about this,
look.
but if
It's
you guys
probably
can
going.
talk about it.
I mean, look. There's not much to say. It's probably going to be related to Sonic X Shadow. Um, I mean,
Well, we know Sonic X Shadow is going to be at the show. Like it was in the video the little video presentation from a
yeah,
few days ago.
like there's not much in the way of secrets here. The only things that the only things that I think we might really get that's new out of this year are like they're 100% gonna want to put focus on Sonic X Shadow Generations. They're gonna want to put focus on the upcoming Monkey Ball, which by the way, that's the end of the month, yo. Like that's how close it
Yeah,
is.
Yeah.
Um,
I wa-
but 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 by and large, like there's not a lot of surprises that we could get. Like maybe they say a little bit more about Rumble. I kind of feel like that'll sit on the back burner until that's actually
well,
closer to release.
just looking at what Midori has said, um, we can at least expect a few more mobile games to be announced to be announced at some point this year. Like there's apparently a Sonic Sports game coming, a Sega Superstars game, and a Chow game.
Do
But I
they?
wouldn't expect to see that stuff at SGF. Like
Yeah,
I'm thinking
that's
Sonic Central.
yeah. I mean,
Right.
do you, I feel at this point we would have heard because everything Sonic related gets leaked. I think if they would have had like a smaller spin-off thing that would be, console focused or some major Superstars DLC, which at this point I don't think we're getting Superstars DLC. Uh
Yeah,
I feel like we would have at least heard of that by now, or at least suggestions or
I
rumblings
am
of it.
quite confident. I am quite confident that Sonic X Shadow is our Sonic game for the year in terms of console stuff.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, although I would have thought, well, I'm surprised we're not getting another Mario and Sonic.
I'm not. I think that they swung big with the one in Japan, and it did not quite do what they might have needed it to do. Like
Hmm.
as a brand, it was a big novelty whenever that franchise started, and then as far as I understand the sales, like it was just a slow slope down from that first one. Just
Hmm.
less and less. And obviously some of that was aided by the Wii U, but also, mini game
Well,
collections have
they
fallen
could
out of
always
vogue.
just do, they could always just do a proper Mario and Sonic platformer.
I'm not sure if they've got number one, someone has to make that. And
Yeah,
Sonic Team
yeah.
just got off Sonic Team's between projects right now. Um
They could start a new team of the Mario and Sonic team.
Also, if they attempt to do the platformer aspect, I bet Nintendo would be all up their A's, making sure that they get it right, which is not a level of discretion that I usually consider when thinking about Sonic Team.
So, the final bit of like just regular Sonic news we've got is classic Sonic. We just announced today the entire classic Sonic cast is coming to Super Monkey Ball. So Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Amy. They're all going to be in the
Classic
game
quartet.
as and they're going to like be able to move in full 3D, which is kind of a neat novelty for those characters.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
I am kind of looking forward to it. I think it's neat that that continues to go. I think the kind of concern I have is that these characters are going to be part of the of their digital deluxe package, or you can just buy them as DLC. But what it kind of suggests to me is that we're probably not getting like new assets for this pack. Like yeah, they're just reusing the existing models. Like there's no question that that's
That
what's
does
at
seem to
least
be the
going on
case.
for them. But it does suggest to me that like, okay, there's 2 more slots left from this. What are the actual odds it's just going to be Kiryu and Beat again? Because I feel like those odds are pretty high.
You know, I'd be fine with that.
I guess, but
I didn't get them last time, so you know, sure.
oh, they were in the game last time. They were just in there last time.
Yeah, but like, was this the remake of the first 2 games?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I haven't played it yet.
Well,
Okay.
well, Jesus, what? Where were you going with this, man?
I don't know. Like I know that they delisted a whole bunch of DLC for some Monkey Ball game. They
No,
keep announcing this stuff.
they
I get all
delisted
mixed up.
Suezo and Morgana, and I think Hello Kitty.
Poor Morgana.
I think they delisted Morgana. I don't know why they would delist Morgana. That seems weird, but
maybe it's like Pokemon, where like Atlas has a certain level of say in how these things are done or something. I don't know. But like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it because I haven't played much of the last game, but you know,
I mean,
one day.
I'll tell you what. If you want the Sega published Fall Guys, that is much more of a Fall Guys. It seems like Monkey Ball might be closer to that. They're kind of
I
pushing this
mean,
as a multiplayer experience.
oh yeah, I think it's like what 16 players or something.
But yeah, I mean, to me, aside from me just not playing a lot of games lately, like this seems pretty solid to me. I like the sort of dash mechanic more than I liked the inclusion of the jump. I think that will make things interesting. I like that it looks like it's going to have a story mode, which, you know, it's nice when Monkey Ball games like this have that story mode
Yeah.
to go through. But yeah, the big push is, hey, they're going to have a focus on online multiplayer. It'll have stuff like races and like they're going to battle royale it, I think, with Monkey Ball or like Fall Guys, where it's just, hey, let's put a bunch of Monkey Balls on this track and see what chaos unfolds, which I
Honestly,
think makes
Monkey
sense
Ball
for that game.
makes way more sense as like an actual Fall Guys competitor. I will
Oh,
say
sure,
that.
yeah.
So well, if you, hopefully
IP just doesn't sell as well.
well, hopefully you'll be able to do some coverage of it later when it comes out or something.
I am interested in doing so. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, it looks interesting. It is a Switch exclusive.
Oh yeah, so I don't even have to like question whether or not I should get it on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I like it when that choice is taken out of my hands, because ever since I've had the Steam Deck, I keep racking my brain over that.
I mean, I've just focused on, honestly, I am just much more of a PC gamer at this point. I love Nintendo. I will always play great new Nintendo games, but I think in terms of at least the other two consoles, I've just been pretty satisfied sticking with PC stuff. And I mean, part of that is
Yeah.
just me playing much smaller games than like, well, what's the big current $70 thing? It's like, I'm not gonna play that. I'm gonna play something I got on a Steam sale for $15 that's gonna be an indie darling from 2021.
So, moving on to the Shadow block. We are getting we are getting an animated prologue, which makes me happy. Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginning, which sounds suitably lame-o edgy for Shadow. I appreciate that. That sounds like something that 16-year-old me would have called his imaginary Shadow prologue cartoon. um and there's going to be there's going to be a panel for it at Anime Expo, where they will have, among other things, among other people, the Maria's new voice actress, which I actually don't remember her name. I'm bringing it up now, but yeah, she's got a new voice, which means at the very least, like either in the new game or in the short, she is going to be talking. And let's see. Oh yeah, Stephanie Sheh, who played Mamimi Samajima, I'm probably saying it incorrectly, from Fulikuli, Elreka and Eureka 7, and Orihime in Bleach, which those are all mainstream stuff. You guys are probably seeing. Oh, and Hinata Hyuka and Naruto. I'm sure we've all seen Naruto. I know I have.
I am trying to block it
I
out of
know
my
of
mind.
Naruto.
And
I'm sorry. No, my son is also named Boruto.
and Sailor Moon from Sailor Moon Crystal, which I have not seen that, but I am watching the old new dub on
Oh,
Toonami Rewind
the
block.
old new dub is so good. Like it is. They have captured. They have lovingly captured the nature of watching like a '90s dub in that area. But like the '90s dub that you would get not from broadcast TV, but from like weird VHSs you had to get from someone from like a
I have to
specialty
say,
store.
so Kirk Thornton and Takashi Iizuka are both also going to be there, um, and I am hoping that we're finally going to like. I've never been a huge fan of Kirk Thornton's voice. I've been hoping that it's just like a direction issue, because like he sounds great in Sonic Boom, where Shadow's supposed to sound like a lame-o edgelord. But then he takes that performance into like the main continuity where it's too goofy, and I don't like it. And I'm hoping that they give him a different voice direction for this stuff.
I don't like. Look, my feelings on this whole Shadow movement
Yeah, you
are
love Shadow.
well documented at that point. I don't think Sega knows what to do with Shadow other than put him in things and not really give him any meaningful defined motivations. I don't think. I mean, hey, I don't think they do a good job establishing a lot of the characters, but I think Shadow especially suffers from that because
Yes.
Shadow only makes sense with sort of more like you have. The problem is for a character that is air quotes dark, you have to work harder to actually make that character believable, and they have put no effort into
So are
doing
you
that.
saying that Shadow can't just not care about anything?
I might be saying something like that.
So like I've been getting into like lots of Sonic arguments on Twitter for some dumbass reason. You and I got a lot of attention for a particularly spicy Amy Rose tweet, apparently.
I
Which
Spicy
you
doesn't
guys
seem.
saw that.
I wouldn't describe it as spicy. I would
What?
describe it as what these are people who are way too high on Sonic Adventure 2. Like
Yeah,
these
Sonic
are the
Adventure 1
type
and
of
2.
these are the type of people who stopped growing as human beings after 1999.
Now, I'm going to just
Grew
say
up
that a few of
on
the
comic
people
books or something.
who disagree with me, I know to be very nice people who aren't like that. But like, regardless, like, you know, I was being hyperbolic when I called Amy and Sonic Heroes being what was it,
Look,
a psychotic stalker. But
look. Early Amy
I
is
don't entirely disagree with it.
early Amy is a problem and needed to be
Yes.
canceled.
Like, basically what we have now with Amy is just like her saga adventure stuff minus the psychotic stalking stuff. Um okay, but anyway, this is about Shadow. And like, so among the things that I was exposed to was one of the like Sonic team writers, I forget his name. I don't know if it was Maikawa or someone else, but they said that Shadow just doesn't care about anything. Or actually, no, it was in a Sonic Channel story that this person wrote, where it was indicated that Shadow doesn't care about anything. I'm all like, how can you have a character like him who doesn't care about anything?
By
No,
having
they
that
need
character
some
be
kind of
bad.
motivation.
By having that
And
character be badly developed, that's how you do it.
And basically, what they seem to be doing with Shadow now, in the official canon, is they're just going back to he helps the world because he's trying to fulfill Maria's wish. Which lots of people disagree with that because at the end of Shadow the Hedgehog, Shadow said, "I don't, I'm going to go my
Yes.
own way.
Let's
I'm going to leave Maria in the past."
I mean,
That means he
yes.
can't care about her dream anymore. That's just stupid.
So it leads me to believe that I would not be surprised if they take Sonic X Shadow as an opportunity to, you know, we'll say some people will say retcon, I will call it clarify the
Yeah.
nature of his relationship to the events that happened 50 years ago and the subsequent consequences of that. But I would hope, like that's kind of what you would want, is you would want them to take this game as an opportunity to actually make Shadow a character and not an empty vessel for to hold angst that has no direction or purpose.
I seem to remember saying that that's what I'm hoping that they do with Sonic X Shadow Generations. Back when they first announced it, and you were talking about how much you hate Shadow and all these issues that I do mostly agree with you on. Like, although I actually
I still think
I
the
like Shadow
best
from SA2.
I still
Like
think
you
the
said,
best version of they did of him was with Sonic Prime, where
Oh
he
yeah.
was just
oh yeah,
more
like that
annoyed
is easily the best Shadow.
by
But
yeah,
Look,
by
the
Sonic's
Shadows I
silliness,
like,
and at the same time
the Shadows I like are
he's being
SA206.
responsible.
The Shadows I like are SA206, Archie, and Prime.
I I don't like I found the recent, so I'm gonna reference the latest Tails Tube. I thought that was awful. I thought it was probably the worst of them because they didn't express anything of meaning in it other than to say Sonic and Shadow don't get along. And the problem with Shadow is the problem that a lot of, Sonic characters have is they don't have internal lives. They only exist relative to what is Sonic's relationship with them.
Hell,
Like
Sonic himself often doesn't have an internal life.
exactly, like
This was one of my hot takes on Twitter that angered some people.
like obviously, like you have to have an Amy Rose that cares and understands about the world beyond Sonic. And some of that is expressed in Sonic Adventure 2. I'm sorry, in the original Sonic Adventure. And some of it, and a lot of it, is much more expressed in Sonic Frontiers. And
Yeah,
again, I will emphasize, she is the MVP of Sonic Prime. Like, she is
yeah.
she is one of the best fleshed out characters in that series. But like Shadow needs that. Shadow needs something to separate him from just being the rival to Sonic. He has to have motivations. He has to care about things. He has to have reasons why he's doing it. And so what Sonic Prime does so well is it defines why he and Sonic don't get along in the way that they do. They're both attempting to play heroics, but Shadow is much more pragmatic about it, and he definitely does not agree with the way that Sonic wants to handle the act of being a hero. He absolutely does not trust the way Sonic handles being a hero. He feels that Sonic is reckless, and when you get Sonic and Shadow just devolving into arguing about who would win in a freaking race, it's like, okay, I want I want Shadow to not care about Sonic and just have Sonic be an annoyance to him more so than, no, I need to prove I'm better than him. Like,
Yeah.
he can't play the Vegeta card because he never had the Vegeta motivations to begin with. So
It
suddenly giving
recently
that to him
came
doesn't
out.
make sense.
Recently came out that apparently the Sonic Prime writers actually were able to ignore a lot of Sega's notes.
That's probably for the best, if I'm being honest.
I
mean, so did Paramount, didn't they?
Well, yeah, I don't even know if Paramount got notes from Sega, but regardless, so one other thing about Sonic X Shadow Generations is that Flynn has kind of quietly indicated that we may be getting an idea of like what the Time Eater did to the time streaming stuff, and it kind of sounds like he's involved in the DLC in the game's story. And I'm hoping that this means that he can work the magic that he did in Frontiers and defying Shadow. And the way he was able to kind of like do Tails, Amy, and Knuckles in Frontiers.
Well, I hope it would be better than the way that those characters were done, because it was like a half step. It's a half step, but it's not the full step that all of those characters need.
Right.
Shigs, you have anything? Do you have anything to say? We've been
How
talking.
do you solve a problem like Shadow?
I
Um,
meant
it's hard. It's hard to say. The way they've got to do something with his motivations. I think that's a important thing, because it's getting to the point now where he's just a dick. He's just a jerk for jerk's sake. You
yeah.
know, there's got to be some kind of like reboot, kind of like what they did with Amy. I mean, last 2 years they've kind of retconned Amy, and especially in the classic mode,
Well,
where
Amy
it's
has
less
been
about focused
getting.
on Sonic and more about you know being one with the nature critters and being more friendly towards other people. I mean, she was basically the hero of Sonic Superstars in a certain amount of ways.
Yeah, like again, like I've said this on Twitter, where like when it comes to Amy, they decided that they're gonna focus a lot more on just her empathy and her ability to care more for other
Which works great.
people and creatures than even Sonic would, which is something that is based on the original Sonic Adventure.
And I'm happy with Shadow just being another hero, but with the different set of morals from Sonic. Kind of like a the Vegeta or Black Adam type.
Like he was
anti-hero
an Archie.
character. Yeah.
Um, Regardless, though, like I'm with GX. I'm hoping that they do that they like fix Shadow in that game, and that they then let the comics also work with that fixed Shadow. So moving on, to more Shadow nonsense. It was recently quoted. Jason Griffith was recently quoted as saying that they recorded hours of footage. They recorded hours of recordings of
Audio.
him having Shadow curse out, say the F word constantly. Now he recently came on Twitter and clarified that it wasn't hours of footage; it was a few lines. But it sounds like, aside from the amount, like at the very least, he did record some M-rated F words for Shadow the Hedgehog back when I guess someone at Sega was considering getting the game an M rating, which I
Someone
find
at Sega went
fascinating.
out of their damn minds, basically.
Yeah, and this is
Oh,
the only era of Sonic that this could have happened at, because Sega cares way too much about Sonic as a brand now to let that happen again.
oh, I'm thinking if you think about how Sonic 06's legacy continues to haunt the series, if they decided to do an M-rated Shadow, they would have never lived it down. Like, even more so than they cannot live that game to begin with. Like, it would never, the discourse around it would never die. Like, it would be the eternal meme.
What I find funny is that
Shadow's Bad Quill Day.
Shadow was originally going to be a teen-rated game. It was going to be the first T-rated Sonic game. But then that very same year, the ESRB started doing the E10 rating, and Sega like toned down the game just enough to hit that instead.
And I mean, if you wanted to give like some context to this, was definitely of an era where a lot of people were trying to figure a lot of especially like Japanese publishers were trying to figure out, okay, do we now have to change our cartoony characters to not be the way that we've had them? Because this is basically the general
This is during
area.
the era of the M-rated, edgy games,
Yeah,
the
we
God
got.
of Wars and all those.
Well, no, I was gonna say Bomberman Act Zero
Oh God, that was the
and what was the one with the grapple arm that Capcom did?
Man, I should I
Bionic
on the tip of my
Commando.
Bionic,
tongue. Yeah.
Bionic Commando, yeah.
But yeah,
But
people were
that
just trying to
that
figure
one
out,
made
like,
more sense.
do we need to make these adult-ish versions of our classic cartoony games? And the resounding answer is no. What are you doing? Stop doing this.
And like it wasn't just Japanese publishers, a lot of mascot characters also were starting to go edgier near the end there. Like Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, his third entry was a lot edgier than his first two. We had Pac-Man World 3, which went in a much darker direction than than the previous two. So I
We
think it was
had pretty
also
much every GameCube cover suddenly changed so slightly so the characters look a little bit more angry, especially
yeah.
Kirby. They always gave Kirby angry eyes.
So I guess
Having the
like
most adorable, friendly character imaginable.
it seemed so like that seemed to kind of sort of spell the beginning of the end for the sort of the 2000s platformer craze that
The
existed for a bit.
God, post 9/11 sure was a time.
So the final thing in our shadow block is fittingly a Hot Topic. Sonic is getting a Hot Topic clothing line. And like I've only ever gone to Hot Topic for my nieces, and the models that they have certainly look like Hot Topic people. But I don't know, like this is I guess this is about the kind of clothing I'd expect to see.
Oh yeah, it looks
Um,
stupid. It looks dumb. Like,
I'm looking at a Knuckles leather one piece with zippers and stuff. I,
Leather leather one piece of Knuckles.
I think so. It looks like yeah, it's a one piece. With no straps or anything. It's just like it's just like goes all the way down from the chest to the legs. And
turn
Knuckles is on it. It's got like some Japanese writing on it, which I assume means something, and a whole bunch of zippers. Like it looks like I don't know, a Square Enix character who was a Knuckles fan or something.
Turns out when you get to the end of the grand line, this is what the reward is.
I very nearly did not include this piece of news until I saw that, because that's just some of the most ludicrous Sonic clothing I've ever seen.
I was a Hot Topic, not teen, but like, I guess late teens to early college, and primarily it was just because they had a lot of t-shirts, and I was and still am a novelty t-shirt guy. I have a closet full of them. I've just shifted away from paying, let's say, $25 a pop from an officially licensed source to getting a lot of daily t-shirts that have much more interesting designs and I don't know, like I my issue is I saw the girl's jacket in the picture, and I will probably try to put this in the thing, and what it immediately gave me the bad vibes for was do you remember one of my first major railings in the against something for the site? What
Was it the energy drinks?
well, that was one of them. That was the one that Dredd had to tone me down for because I was like way accusatory for that one. But no, one of the very early Sonic streams that they did prior to the pandemic, the Japanese line, they showed off the ugliest frickin' jacket that you can
Oh
imagine.
yeah, I
With
remember that. I did not agree with you at all. I thought it looked fine.
it looked so stupid. The fonts in it were awful. There were so many just divergent fonts. It looked like the Letterman's jacket from hell. It looks like the kind of honestly, it looks like the kind of jacket that Ryu from Shenmue would wear, with like the big design on the back and the words on the front that are in English but don't feel like they were written by someone for whom English is their first language. Like that
Yeah.
kind
The
of
Looney
weird
Tunes and
jacket.
hip hop clothes level of bad.
Yeah, like that kind of.
If you remember the '90s, yeah.
Ugh. It gave me those vibes. I don't like this jacket. It's too busy. Just make a design and stick with the design. Don't cover it in crap.
But where were you going with that in regards to Hot Topic?
I don't know. I'm looking at this stuff. This stuff does it looks dumb. It looks
Yes,
dumb,
it
and
does.
I think that nobody. I I I feel I would not believe for a second that any of the models that they would use here would actually wear any of this on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, I don't know. Like we got this one person who has like who like seems like they're trying to dress all edgy, but like their pants have Shadow the Hedgehog on it,
There's
and it's
nothing.
like
The problem is, there's nothing actually edgy about Sonic. Sonic has never actually been edgy. He's a big dopey cartoon character who acts like
I
a
mean,
big dopey cartoon character. There's
I mean, we got Shadow. He's edgy.
Shadow's not edgy. Shadow's not freaking. It's not freaking edgy to say it to be like emo and like he's edgy by committee. Like he's what adults in a boardroom think are edgy. Shadow's not edgy.
He's Mortimer Mouse with a gun.
So he's Mortimer Mouse from Mickey's Clubhouse then.
Right. Just one moment. I'll be right back.
All right. Um, but like, yeah, I'm not buying any of this. And I was never a Hot Topic kid because I basically went straight from wearing whatever T-shirts my parents bought me to like Bass Pro Shop shirts.
Okay.
I still wear shirts like that now.
Astro Shop. Oh
They're
Lord.
guess what's
That's how
comfortable.
you know you're from Florida.
This was in Virginia.
I don't know.
That's
Like
where this started.
I was the thing is I was an anime fan. So where do you go to get anime t-shirts? Because you ain't going to get them at JCPenney's. Like maybe these days you can actually go into a Target and get like a Dragon Ball shirt that looks all right.
Oh, easily.
But back in the day, like, hey, do you want something with Full Metal Alchemist on it? It's like, well, yeah, of course I do. Well, that's where you have to go.
Um, but I just love shirt pockets and buttons on my front. It guess it works. Anyway, moving on. Ian Flynn has confirmed that he's working on multiple undisclosed Sonic comic projects.
Is he now?
Yes.
I had no expectation that he was ever going to do that.
But what's awesome about this is that like I don't know, it sounds like he might be working on like some spin-off material or something, because like there's only one ongoing Sonic comic right now, you know? Everything else is like
Maybe
quarterly specials or
outside of the quarterly
miniseries.
specials, there's just a preview of the spring one just came up on Twitter.
Oh, and he said some modern, some classic. So
Yeah.
we've got more classic content coming, and the only thing I can think of is that we do know that Knuckles is getting some kind of 30th anniversary comic later this year. Could be a one shot, could be a miniseries, we don't know. But like, so
I
Took it
mean,
long enough.
look.
They're so focused on the fearless year of Shadow, they forget it's Knuckles' 30th birthday.
my
Eh.
expectation is that we're gonna like get some sort of shadow centric miniseries and a Knuckles one shot.
I mean,
I
let's be realistic. They haven't celebrated any of the other characters' anniversaries beyond like Sonic. Like the comics
I mean
do, but
Oh yeah,
Amy did get a one shot.
yeah, the comics
Amy
do, and the
also got
comics are
one
going to
shot,
give Knuckles a thing. But by and large,
and
like
Fang
Sega on
got
the
one.
whole is not interested in like celebrating these individual characters. They're interested in
Yeah.
celebrating Shadow because Shadow has the movie coming out, and that is a big marketing thing for them because if the Shadow movie does well, then things related to the Shadow movie will do well, such as them horning Shadow into a Sonic Generations remake.
Mm. Also, he has confirmed that Bumblecast is a part-time job for him now, which is awesome because he puts up with a lot on that.
I don't listen. Would it cause me psychological harm if I started listening to that?
I don't think it would.
Would
Like sometimes he drops some genuinely useful info, and I don't. Like whenever he gets like a weird fan question, he never like gets too weird about it. It's just like it's just
Okay.
fun talking. Him having a fun discussion with Kyle,
Okay.
who is his co-host. So like I would personally suggest you check it out. Of course, you might not want to check out every single one because they do a lot of them now.
Like how
And
many
he's
per
also
week?
got
More than one per week?
more than one per week. Yeah,
That's a lot.
there's like minis, and then there's ones where like they have a single person on. But then there's like the standard one. I think that might be once or twice a week.
I do
Um,
tend to listen to people ask questions in our own Discord and just occasionally wonder what in the hell are you talking about? What is the topic going on here? How did we get here? I'm supposed to be the one that's the weird wild card. Somehow I am becoming I don't know.
but
Like I
let's
said before, I will not accuse myself of being anything close to a normie, but sometimes being in the Sonic fan base does make me feel like I might be too normie for the Sonic fan base.
and finally, if you like Ian Flynn's work, which I do, um, he is work he has 4 video game projects in various stages of production. He's got a lot more work coming from Aether Studios, who do that. Uh, I forget what the fighting game is called. Fighters of Ether or something.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Fighters of Ether, yeah, Aether, yeah.
Mhm.
I think
and
it's a Smash
finally,
Brothers like
this is what I'm most excited about.
Rivals of
Anyone who's
Ether, Rivals.
okay, Rivals of Ether. Anyone who's liked his other Archie work, like New Crusaders or Young Salem, will be happy this year.
Cool.
So, ooh, because I like both of those things.
I
So,
I like seeing that he's working on things other than just Sonic.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that's like if he was purely
People who are creative don't want to be stuck doing the same thing over and over again.
yeah,
and it
sometimes they
also
want to
looks
go
like,
off and form their own companies and then commit like insider trading.
and also he's got. It sounds like Dragoon might be getting its graphic novel this year. So that's also pretty cool. But so moving on to Sonic Forces. a whole bunch of characters have been announced for it in the last few days, including its 100th character, which, as someone who has unlocked everyone aside from Christmas Sonic, I noticed, oh, hey, next one's 100. I wonder if they're going to do something special for it. And I mean, it's Valiant Tails, which is Tails in a night outfit.
I mean,
So
I'm gonna.
So no, they did not.
I will postulate that the last time that they did something special for this game was when they included Scourge or Surge.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we've got Tails in a night outfit coming. We've got what is my personal favorite of these three. Burning Blaze is coming. Like at
Why?
this point, I think they're basically out of super forms to use. So I'm happy to have her because I think that kind of completes their sets. Unless they want to start
Do you
bringing.
care about it for any reason other than completing a set?
I care about it because Blaze is cool, and I want to play as Burning Blaze in with
What
HD
what
visuals.
separates Burning Blaze from regular Blaze other than the power of the Soul Emeralds?
Her color scheme, I
Okay,
like it.
Yeah.
so basically
Ah,
Burning.
she finds a new level of Super Saiyan, her hair turns blue, and suddenly cool. I am all about this thing.
Actually, it's a different shade of pink and purple. But
I'm
I
making a
like her
Goku
look.
comparison, you dork.
And also, finally, Idol Shadow, which I was not expecting them to call the Shadow Rockstar character that.
I don't think of him as an idol. That's not what I think
Well,
of whenever I see the word idol. But okay.
well, apparently he's an idol now.
He's dressed as a
So
frickin' pirate is what he is. It looks like they recycled whenever they had that weird pirate promotion alongside the
Danimals?
Danimals thing. It's like, okay, just change it to glasses and cool. Now he's a singer. Great.
Oh my god. That does look like a pirate outfit. Although I think that there's like a Korean rock band that dresses like that.
Like
That
a
might be what
pirate?
they're referencing. Like yeah, basically, yeah.
Uh,
um, but yeah, Shadow looks like he's trying to give some girls heartbreak or something. But all right, so this was something that Sega really wanted me to cover. I got like this was the first time I ever got like an additional follow up email from someone, and so I decided, you know what? Sure, it's news. And so I did decide to cover it, and apparently it's big news over in Brazil. But so the Brazilian artist Brito has teamed up with Sega for some new Sonic art pieces, which will be used for art pieces and also merchandise and and collectibles apparently. But they've kind of debuted. He initially debuted in like Tokyo last month.
okay.
Well, back in April now. But he made his U.S. debut with this at the licensing expo, and the piece of art is available on our website. It's like just one of Sonic's um,
Can,
stock thing stock art things, but like redrawn for like in like this weird
uh,
art style.
do you,
All these solid colors.
I
What?
so I feel like I don't feel good saying this,
Yes.
but I think it looks bad. I think it looks
Honestly,
real bad. I think that the style that he is attempting to go with this and the thick lines and the way that I don't think it looks good. I think it
It looks
looks
like somebody took Sonic art from MS Paint and just did the fill in, and it was a little kid who wasn't really paying attention
I don't
like I don't
what he
know.
was doing
I
there. So.
don't really. I don't have any artistic taste. I thought it looked neat enough until I realized that it's just based off of stock art, and then I was like, oh, okay.
it
Well,
just
that's kind of lame.
it has such uniform lines that I look at I'm just looking at the thickness of the lines and the way that it flows, and it just looks It looks bad. It looks oh, it I hate to say amateurish because this person is, clearly an artist, presumably by trade, but I don't think this is good art. And maybe in
From what
another scenario when it wasn't a piece of licensed material, you could have it say something, but just as a piece of commercial art, I don't think this particularly looks good for the series. I don't think it paints the series in a particularly good
Okay,
light.
I typed his name wrong in my notes. It's not Brillo. That's like a
A
washing bag.
dishwashing thing,
It's
yeah.
it's
I was gonna make a
Brito.
joke and then I decided yeah, it's
But
Brito.
if you look at his art, this is kind of like par. It seems like it's kind of par for the course for him, albeit not
Sure.
based off of stock
Don't
art.
don't don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that he is bad at what he does. I am saying that Sonic is a bad match for what he is doing.
Yeah,
Why they would
this
want to
this
push this seems bizarre to me. Like this doesn't
this sounds like one of those things where the Sega just doesn't say no. If I'm being honest,
I guess,
but
but in this case it sounds like they're actively saying yes. Like what are we
but
doing?
like from what I can gather, this got a lot of attention from Brazilians on Twitter when I posted it, like way more than I was
Oh,
expecting. And it also seems to me that people's views of Brito himself are divisive.
No kidding. I
so
can't imagine why.
so like I'm assuming that like just how people see his art is divisive. I don't know. I'm not an art critic. I don't really like talking about art if I'm being honest. Like like I said when I initially saw it, I thought it
background
looked fine.
the background looks so 90s movie theater. Style
Yeah,
to it.
but so moving on to our final major news item of the night.
I'm so just a quick follow up here. Apparently apparently I'm looking at news stories and an artist got real mad at him for allegedly mistreating restaurant owners' employees, and I guess smashed part of his art. So
Oh
that's
Jesus!
funny.
I guess that's part of the reason why people the response was so divisive.
I don't.
Anyway, so Paramount Global has agreed to a merger with Skydance for $8 billion, and I'm just gonna say right now, this was the best case scenario for Paramount at this point.
Yeah.
They
Um,
really want a merger in some way.
so basically, here were the three
Like, I'm looking
options.
for a merger. Who's gonna merge with us?
The initial option, the one that got the most traction, like last month, was Skydance and some investment partners trying to buy out some shares of Paramount for $5 billion, and apparently that got a lot of pushback from investors, and so it flopped. And Sony was attempting to buy Paramount out
I
outright
still, I still,
for
I still love the idea of Sony trying to buy them. The company that can't make a
That would
profit
be a
being bought
nightmare
by the
scenario.
company that can't make a movie.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I guess they'd at least have Star Trek at that point, but and also they'd have the Sonic movies again for some reason, which
Oh dear
would
God.
have been funny.
Oh,
But
that
so
would be
they
the
were
best.
so like Sony wanted to buy Paramount outright for 26 billion. So this like would have been like I think just buying the entire company and then stripping it for parts. That's how I saw people explaining it in any case. But that's also why it was significantly
You'd
more
get
expensive than
you'd get important
Skydance's.
properties like SpongeBob and Star
And
Trek
Star Trek
and
Star
and
Trek. The
SpongeBob.
Star
Sonic
Trek merger.
and Transformers probably.
And
I
you'd
don't
get a
know.
And
streaming
Ninja Turtles.
platform that nobody cares about, except for its Star Trek.
And Knuckles and Halo,
And
but
apparently Knuckles.
anyway,
Well, Halo, though,
both
Well,
of
the
those
Ninja
maybe?
Turtles series.
Halo did very well on Paramount.
Okay, okay. I guess you would,
I'm just
yeah, you
going
would
by
get
the
Ninja Turtles
numbers.
too, but also SpongeBob.
But anyway, so and the final one would have been just bankruptcy because they had $15 billion of debt that was considered junk
Yup.
in March, which is
Paramount's not a
why
good
this
company.
moved so fast.
Paramount's
Like
not a particularly profitable or good company.
lots of entertainment companies have been taking up a lot of debt to fund their streaming ventures, and when those streaming ventures don't do as well as they were expecting, stuff like this starts to happen. And Disney is lucky that it's a significantly bigger company with way more revenue streams than Paramount.
Also, let's make sure we acknowledge the fact that when they were taking out this debt, interest rates were very low. Like
Yeah,
they
and
were
now
non-existent, and now we have interest rates again.
yes, 5%. But the deal broke down like this. $2 billion went to the primary shareholder of Paramount, which was which I guess it's which was National Amusements, which is owned by a single person whose name I forget, read something, and so 2 billion for that, which got them 77% of voting shares. And then another 4.5 billion went to Class B shareholders, and then the remaining 1.5 went to paying down their $15 billion in debt. So the company's now owned 2/3 by Skydance, 1/3 by the Paramount shareholders, and overall it feels less like a merger and more just like, I don't know, them just kind of
Help us, please.
keeping
Please help us. We will
help,
hopefully find a way to
yeah,
be profitable.
like helping Paramount and keeping them together. Because, like, you know, Skydance is a much smaller company than Paramount, as far as I know. They had to like use a what's the word, a private equity firm to
Yeah. They
help
get
them with the buyout.
basically bring in outside money to actually close this deal.
And one of those outside companies was the company that helped fund Top Gun Maverick, by the way.
I mean, if you want to look at least positive things from Paramount, like that did fine. Sonic
Oh,
continues to do
that was $1 billion movie.
yeah. I mean, it's not like it's not as if Paramount doesn't have a couple successful things. It's just that they have a lot of stuff in between those successful things that aren't quite, hitting in the same way. Also, like you said, they have a streaming service and yeah. Yeah. They sure
But
have a streaming
overall, like,
service.
Agree with Walmart Plus.
I think the thing we can take away from this is just that Skydance is that Paramount's going to be in a much better is going to be in a
They are
healthier,
going to
steadier place
survive.
now.
They are
Yeah.
going to survive and not have to die because of their mistakes.
So much better than the Sony buyout.
Yeah, if you're hoping this will in any significant way change the way that they're handling the Sonic movies, I would say probably not. I don't think Sonic 3 is going to get a substantially like bigger budget than the second one did. I think
I
if
mean,
you're
it's too late for that to happen.
oh yeah, it's not going to be impacted, but like yeah, I don't think this is going to shift that much. Like
I think one thing that this does do is it should open up additional financing revenues for Paramount, which would allow them to finance a bigger budget if they wanted to. Like, one of the big issues with them having $15 billion in junk debt is that every film company borrows money to fund their productions. And
okay,
so if your credit is crap, then that becomes significantly more expensive.
okay, but I have a better solution for this. So
Yeah.
hear me out on this. So okay, let's say we wanted to make a follow up to one of our very profitable, very popular movies, and we're gonna do it for the streaming service. Now, obviously, hey, a lot of CG in movies, that's expensive. What if we take the CG character and toss him aside and then get a very affordable comedian? And even though we're going to name the series after the CG character, we're just going to make the entire series about that comedian and the weird trials and tribulations he goes through. Have the sets be like very cheap, very affordable locations, and just, maybe just have a weird sixth thing that where the CG gets slightly worse over time.
That sounds terrible. I hate it.
I think I think it is a path to absolute profitability. I think we're talking Scrooge McDuck vaults of money here.
But like, I don't know. Personally, I am hoping that maybe like the next Sonic movie can hit the 150 million budget mark if Sonic 3 does well enough. But that's getting way, way, way too ahead of myself.
I mean, we're still dramatically underneath any given Disney movie in those budgets. So,
well, that's kind of one of the lower end.
I think did we lose Knuckles? Shigs, are you still here?
I'm still here. Yeah, that was weird.
Very
Uh-oh.
hello?
I see him on the thing, but his mic must have cut out.
Let's figure this out.
All right, better get him on the chat real quick. Sorry about this, folks. Says, give me a sec.
Well, while he handles that, okay. As he handles that, yeah. Hey, it's probably not going to have significant impact on the Sonic series. Maybe it lets them get more money,
No.
but I think at this point, they've hit on a successful formula that hasn't hurt them in the Sonic series, and I'm not sure the degree to which they could actually make the thing bigger. I don't know if they get. I think they get bigger with Sonic 3. I think there's reason to believe that they would. Do you, Shigs, do you even see anything that gets bigger than what they're doing with Sonic 3 after Sonic 3?
I don't think so. I mean, they might go the route they did with like, well, not they did, but whoever was doing like the Smurfs and such, where okay, the live action we've kind of played this out as much as we can. Let's go to like animation and see if that'll work out.
Yeah,
Better.
like the big thing with it is Sonic. Like I make fun of people who made it to Sonic Adventure 2 and then stopped growing as humans. But I can't deny, like, Sonic Adventure 2 is the game. Like, it's the thing, and to then evoke that, like, it feels like you're hitting the high point. I don't know where you go with that once you've done the Sonic Adventure 2. Like,
Right, and these movies that it's not Jim Carrey that's selling the tickets, it's this Sonic himself and the
well,
characters that the kids wanna
maybe in
go
the first
see,
movie it was Jim
basically.
Carrey that was selling the tickets, and I might even say the
A
second
little bit,
movie.
yeah.
I am curious if I am curious of Jim Carrey's performance in the third one. I suspect it's going to be
Right.
similar to the other two, but I don't know.
Although didn't, the Knuckles series also get, pretty strong, views as
Yeah,
far as viewership goes?
seemed to do pretty
Good
dang
ratings?
well. Seemed to do pretty dang well
Yeah, I mean, it
for
didn't
it.
have any major characters in that at all.
Uh, yeah, I don't know.
At the very least, an animated spin-off might be good.
But apparently, unplugging the power from my Steam Deck dock disabled the mic. I didn't think that would happen. Yeah, okay. Well, I will have a technical discussion of how power works with Alex later. But yeah, hey, pro tip. Yeah, your Steam Deck probably is not powerful enough to power external devices. So probably don't do that. Probably use a
Right,
dock
yeah,
for
and
it.
it's not a battery pack.
Yeah. Yeah. Um I guess we could while he is rebooting. Let's just go ahead and jump into IDW discussion. Do you feel like you have time
Yeah,
for
so
that?
we had the sure, we can go ahead and do that. I mean, we had the
Oh,
Fang miniseries that hello?
Hi.
hello.
Hi, you're
Hi.
back?
Welcome.
Explain. Explain what happened in the Discord.
Cool. I
I'm
explained what
still
happened
figuring
on
out this
stream.
new. Still fig. Oh, okay, cool. Still figuring out my new mic. All right. So where are we?
We're about to
I was just
discuss
saying your
Fang.
Steam is not a battery
Okay,
pack. You
cool.
can't disconnect it.
So Fang. Um, this
He's a Jerboa. He's purple. He has like this pop gun in certain games, but not others.
he's also not a sniper anymore. He's a hunter.
The hunter.
But
Hunters can be
regardless,
snipers.
okay, but he's not Fang the sniper anymore. He is Fang the hunter.
He go
He is
he
not
has
Fang the.
he is
He's
Fang of
not.
many colors.
He's not Fang the wolf. He is not Knack the weasel, even though he looks like a weasel and should just be a weasel. Um, I think he's canonically a Jerboa now. But
Yeah.
regardless,
He's a
so
jabroni, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
this what this has the same qualities as all the other classic Sonic stories outside of maybe Amy, which don't think quite
For
managed to nail it.
for better and
But
for worse.
it was very funny. Oh, sorry,
It was
it
cute.
was funny. It was funny. It was cute. Um,
It
had
lacked
had really nice writing.
it lacked
Like
meaningful stakes.
yeah, like a lot like basically all of the classic stories in that sense, I think. But where it really kind of gets me, at least, is just how the character the character dialogue and stuff, and the art
Yeah.
and the adventure. And this has all of those things, except for the first time ever, Fang Bing and Bark Fang Bean and Bark are the main characters, which I don't think has ever happened before. Outside of like
No.
maybe Fang starring in some backstory in Archie a
I
couple of
I
times.
mean, it is his miniseries. It would be weird if he wasn't.
Yeah, although Sonic still is quite prominent in it and has his own subplot. And one thing I'm increasingly really beginning to like about how classic Sonic is written is that he feels younger, more mature, and more impatient.
Yeah.
And like that is just kind of
Pretty much,
how I
yeah.
would prefer Sonic
He
to be,
whines
if I'm being honest.
he whines quite a bit about the downtime in this.
Yeah,
It's fun to
and
see.
it's just a fun read throughout most of it. And the only thing that kind of left me feeling a little down was the ending, where it turns out, okay, this was a prologue for Sonic Superstars, which
I
maybe
mean,
briefly made me feel like, oh wow, so like,
You mean Sonic Mania, don't you?
no,
no,
it
Sonic
was Sonic
Superstars.
Superstars.
No, actually, that is an interesting point because it does inherently suggest that the hard-boiled heavies continue to be under Eggman's employ, well, no, direction, while
Yeah,
also like, well, after the events of Sonic Mania, in which they in which they attempted to take over, and are still apparently intending to take over in some way.
yeah, albeit much more sneakily now. And it also confirms that technically the Warp Topaz, which ends up being the MacGuffin of this story, was in Sonic Superstars.
I
Like
guess.
I don't think Fang ever warped anywhere, but that entire
Well,
time it
he's
was technically inside the bike.
thinking it was the 8th Chaos Emerald, and people are like, "What are you, crazy? There is
Uh,
none." What are
So
you
the whole
talking about?
premise of this miniseries is that Fang is looking for the eighth Chaos Emerald, and he's trying to get information out of Sonic, and then Knuckles, and then Eggman, and Bean and Bark are along for the ride, and they're increasingly getting sick of him. And so, like, we get to spend a lot of time with Fang's character, and this is like probably kind of the biggest indication of who classic Fang is as a character. And like it's kind of someone who's like kind of very bossy, kind of casually, like a little backstabby,
He's an
but
Eddie.
like yeah. I mean, okay. I don't know why I said yeah. I don't know who Eddie is, but I'm sure other people do.
From Cartoon Network's Ed and Eddie.
I never watched that show.
You did? Oh, it's a classic,
I
man.
I think he's like the okay. There's the dumb one, there's the wimpy one, and Eddie is this conniving one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Now that
Haven't watched
I have
much
a
of it, and anybody know that
vague
much.
idea. Um, but like yeah, okay, yeah, and it just leads to a fun adventure that is very different from what we've gotten from classic Sonic before, and it's probably my second favorite classic Sonic story at this point. Like after what I consider is one of IDW's all time classics, the Summer of uh, you know what I mean, the Seasons of Chaos.
The Summer of
Um,
Love.
okay, third favorite after the DMV one. That was also really funny. Um, but like I'm s- I'm struggling to I don't I probably shouldn't. So like the first issue is just Fang trying to catch Sonic. And they use this almost like coyote, not coyote cowboy, this wildy coyote contraption
Cowboy
where,
Bebop.
where they try to hit him with a rock, and Sonic acts like a Looney Tunes character and just casually avoids it, and then of course it just backfires on them. It's funny, and after an unsuccessful bombing attempt from Being, Sonic stops them, and then they finally like just interrogate him about the eighth Chaos Emerald, which Sonic insists doesn't exist, and then we move on to Knuckles, and Knuckles, it's like he quietly hunts them down while they're on his island looking for them, capturing them until it's just Fang and him, and again that
It's
whole sequence is just funny.
it's ultimately
Oh, yeah.
more character driven than an
Yeah,
actual story. Like it's like,
yeah,
okay,
like
how does
character
this
and
set of
comedy.
characters interact with Fang? How does this set of characters interact with Fang? Eventually it
Right.
kind of picks up whenever they introduce the Topaz as a thing.
Yeah.
But by and large, like, it still beats stuff like the In Another Time, In Another Place type of
Oh,
stories.
by a mile.
Right.
Um, of course, this has way more space to work with. But regardless, and the third issue is yeah, where Fang is attempting to to find some information on one of Dr. Eggman's old bases, which is the Knuckles Chaotix hub area, which I loved that detail. It was
Yeah.
so fun seeing Knuckles Chaotix getting referenced in a modern comic book like that. And that's when Dr. Eggman catches them, and their whole exchange is just funny again. Like all of these are just so well written in a way that I think I prefer the character interactions in this to what we normally get in IDW, if I'm being honest. The
Yeah,
modern
probably.
IDW, I mean.
I mean, it feels lighthearted and fun, and
Yeah.
I think
And
sometimes you get that from, like, we're going to discuss 69 in a bit, but
yep,
I think once Eggman comes into the picture in that issue, that is a really good exchange.
yeah. And like and the hard-boiled heavies, which of course they're in the final issue, and that's when we find out about the warp topaz, and we get a little action sequence. They are just really well written. Really, okay. I keep overdoing it a little bit. They are cute villains. I
Oh
enjoy
yeah,
them.
the hard boiled heavies continue to be just
Yeah.
great additions. It's like I continue to harp on this, but Sonic as a
Always nice
series
when you get new
still needs
villains.
more antagonists, like having
Yeah.
antagonists that aren't just Dr. Eggman and can exist outside of just one game.
Let's get some female antagonists in the house.
What about
um,
I mean, you have Surge.
a very tall, very humanoid witch that can control technology with magic powers?
oh yeah, Wendy Witchcart.
No, I was referring to a character from Archie.
I know, I know. I'm the Iron Queen. Yes, I would take the Iron Queen in a heartbeat.
It's There was some interesting choices in Archie.
I loved that arc so much. I loved most of those arcs so much.
Why
But
why
there got
why
like,
is Archie? Why did Archie happen? Like, I don't
why did
feel like
Archie have to end?
I feel like you couldn't reproduce the direction of, like, we'll say mid to late mid Archie in a lab. Like, I feel like if you tried to reproduce that as an experiment, you would never be able to.
Yeah, like that requires that required very specific decisions from very specific writers and people who were above the writers like Sega and Archie for all that stuff to happen.
Right.
Especially how they did the Saga Adventure transition. My God. Like, just the perfect combination of having to make drastic changes to certain characters and having no idea what game you're adapting is. um but like, so the final action sequence, the final bits with the hardball heavies, again, really good. And Sonic, just every scene Sonic is in, you're seeing him be so impatient, so ready for action.
He
Like,
feels very 90s. Like,
yes.
it feels like they're invoking, like, 90s Jaleel White Sonic.
And
Right.
that is always how classic Sonic is felt in IDW, and I think it works quite well. And I think it's insane that apparently Sega insists that there is no time difference between classic and modern Sonic, because
Which
this
is
just feels like a
ridiculous
younger
because they're
version.
obviously younger. Just looking
This
at
is
them.
these all just feel like younger versions of the characters, like just in terms of their characterization. And Sega
I mean,
lets them
I,
be
I,
written like
I
that.
mean, the issue it just comes down to, hey, we don't want to have to. We don't. We have two. It's not that we have a series. It's that we have two brands, and we need to maintain and manage these brands and treat them like brands. And that's, geez. I've been having a. I've been developing just sort of an editorial in my head that, like, Sonic the game, like Sonic the property that Sega treats it as, and Sonic the story that the franchise that wants to have a story is in increasing odds against Sonic the need to be a mascot. And
Hmm.
these two forces feel like they are constantly fighting in ways where you can't tell a sensible story that accounts for the things that they want to define about the series, because they also have to, like, have him be a timeless mascot character that nothing can actually change for.
Yeah, and that is frustrating. It's like, I get why they like wanted to really took they really brandized Sonic. Like, Sonic needed to become more consistent as a brand. Like, it was just something that the franchise needed, especially after what the 2000s was for him. But like, I kind of feel like they've just gone too far in the other direction now. It just feels like it's stifling everything, especially IDW,
Like they're Mickey
especially
Mousing
modern
him, where
IDW. Like,
it has
yeah,
to be a certain way all the time.
and I one thing that Archie managed to nail was like kind of giving us the illusion of things changing and character development and stuff while still keeping the fundamentals the same. At least once Ian Flynn took over. And like, I feel like the games could go in that direction, but they just, I don't know, they just haven't. Frontiers hinted at something maybe happening, but
Yeah.
we have to see the follow through.
Yep.
So, moving on to our final discussion topic of the night, and I'm very glad that we're talking about this. IDW Sonic issue 69 with which
69, dude.
which is our first modern Sonic IDW story since, I think, like, January. It's been a while. They took a break for Fang, and I enjoyed it, but boy, did it just stir some discussion online. Especially about lanolin.
Eh,
Like, the main premise of this seems to be that uh what's the possum's name?
Clutch.
The green Clutch.
Clutch.
Clutch is trying to push forward with his plans to take over the resistance. And what he's doing now is he and the resistance are kind of co-running a charity event, um a charity race involving like the Sonic Riders boards. Um and he sabotages Sonic, Tails, and Amy in order to keep them out of the race so that he can go through with whatever his plans are to take over. To take over, and that's basically the premise for most of the issue. Sonic, Amy, and Tails' boards malfunction. Sonic and Tails have to pull off a crazy maneuver to try to rescue Amy, although Whisper ends up being the one to actually do it, and then they get disqualified by Lanolin and her Diamond Cutters, who are essentially acting as referees for the race.
Right.
And she is a little mean, which Lanolin, she is the one character in IDW who doesn't really take
Oh,
other people's nonsense.
Yeah.
she takes her job very seriously.
And a lot of
But it
people
is.
don't
I
like
think a lot
that
of
for some reason.
I think people need to understand that she did want to want to work with Sonic. She idolized him, but and so once she got this job, she took it very, very
I,
seriously
I
in that
sh-
position, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
GX.
how she is.
she is she is sort of in the manner by which a lot of IDW characters do feel at least partially like Archie analogs. She is mildly Sally coded, but
Yeah,
she is much more by the books. She is a character who has a plan for what needs to be done and expects that plan to be executed. She's
Sally is basically a big sister, and Lanolin is an adult.
yeah.
Like that is one. So this I'm going to quote one of my tweaks again, although this one didn't piss too many people off, but another thing I've said is that people hate Lanolin because she's one of the only characters in Sonic who acts like an adult, because she takes her job seriously. She
Yeah.
doesn't take anyone's nonsense, and she plays things by a very strict rule book, and if you break that rule book, you are out.
And
And
it like
frankly,
doesn't matter. And very specifically with her, there's kind of a weird line drawn between the main like the actual game cast and the original characters, as if to say there are certain things that can only happen to original characters, and there are far fewer things that can happen to main Sonic game cast. And she seems to kind of be above that she is allowed to react with the main cast in ways that the other characters cannot.
yeah, I kind of wonder if, given how she kind of came about as a background character, if she managed to escape some of the other restrictions that the other original characters have.
I kind of remember
Um,
having a fight in regard to her and her characterization with another member on the site, just about like the conflict that she had with Silver and sort of the way that Silver's treated. And my stance remains what it is, that Silver can be a future powered. He can have all the power in the world, but he would still be a little weenie. And yeah, and she has she has the big girl pants on, and she's not going to take crap from him, regardless of
yeah,
if he's from the future or has psychic powers or not.
and I think IDW does need a character like her. Uh,
I
it's good to
I
have diverse personalities
I don't
in a
Yeah.
necessarily
story.
think that it needs to, but I do think that it creates different kinds of conflicts within, because she
And
is
that is why I think it
yeah,
needs her.
sure, yeah, I understand, yeah.
But you were saying.
No, that's kind of my point.
Oh, okay.
Is just that like it makes she is not just
It makes for
she
more
is
interesting
yeah
interactions, basically.
she is not like a pure character. She's pragmatic. She's she is we'll say politically not politically driven. Not
Duty driven,
she is
maybe.
duty driven, and she is, how am I trying to say this? She is in service of the state in so much as there exists a state in the nature of Sonic.
Well, she is in service of the of the of the Restoration Charity Organization,
Sure.
which I wouldn't quite call a government, but they at least have some governmental functions. I guess
They
I don't know.
definitely have some look, Sega can say whatever they want about the nature of Sonic's world. Yes, they have some form of government functions in there. It doesn't make sense if they didn't. It's not how
Well,
societies
I
work.
just think that them being a private charity organization is a better analog than government.
Sure, I guess, but
Yeah.
also they have Sonic the Hedgehog on their side, and he fights supervillains. So
Yeah, but so so uh so yeah, duty driven doesn't take anyone's
yeah,
crap, and
I don't.
I think it's good to have a character that will create conflict on
Yeah,
the hero side and like be capable of criticizing the heroic characters. It's like that's something that Archie did have, and a lot of people hated those characters. And like maybe they were
look,
right, maybe they were poorly written. Like I think I'm
I'm
the
not.
only person who actually kind of liked Jeffrey St. John when he wasn't being a creep.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that Lanolin is like an amazing character, but I am saying that she is a force to have to that drives plot in that storyline. And
She is something that IDW needs more of. Like
sure,
not necessarily her antagonism, but just more variety.
someone who well, no, someone who isn't like a capital A antagonist, but has to
Yeah.
think of what the interesting stories of Archie were. Think of like the conflict that Sonic would have to deal with whenever King Acorn was going nuts. Like,
Yeah, I love that he turned out to be a massive asshole.
yeah,
Like it's like here we are thinking he's just gonna be this kind old king, but no, he is a dick.
and you kind of have to like it can't just be the superhero conflict. You have to have conflict elsewhere, and she makes sense as a vector for conflict there. It's
And another
it's
thing that
it's kind of like how Shadow in Sonic the Sonic Prime was a different kind of vector of conflict with Sonic. That no,
yeah,
Right.
he's not antagonist, he's not protagonist, he is a force to move towards a certain direction in the story.
one of my favorite things about Flynn era Archie was that he replaced the monarchy with with this governmental body that would routinely make things more difficult for the heroes because because either they had different points of view or they were just kind of jerks and like and then like after the Iron Queen arc, lots of characters started mistrusting Nicole. Like Mina had this whole hate mongering concert that
Spider-Man would be a worse series without J. Jonah Jameson. You need a character like that.
yeah.
Right.
So like yes, it's good that Lana Lynn exists. It's good that she does what she does, and I would not mind if we got more of a focus on her to just get learn more about what makes her tick. Um, but regardless, so you earlier you alluded to this. The final part of the comic book, after Sonic, Tails, and Amy have been disqualified and they're drowning their sorrows at a cafe or 50s diner or
Of
something. I don't
course,
know.
I will point out, because everyone on the socials were freaking out about this one, is like, okay, we get to see the Sonic Riders versions of all of these character designs. Which, yeah, I mean, Sonic Riders has neat character designs. It was kind of neat seeing all
Yeah.
of the different alts for these character for
I
these.
I really like seeing the diamond cutters.
Yeah, it's neat. Neat.
But that's when Dr. Eggman walks into the room, and he orders some food, which I just appreciate that. He's wearing his Sonic Shuffle, some of his Sonic Shuffle drip. Um, I like when I instantly saw it, I thought, wow, that looks like something out of Sonic Shuffle. And then it turns out, yes, it is from Sonic Shuffle. But it turns out that he's very angry with whoever put together this commercial advertising the
cleanup crew.
race. Yes, the cleanup crew.
I keep wanting to say the marble version, damage control, but yeah.
And like they basically like have a robot kick a big egg in the butt. and that angers him, and now he wants to figure out who's behind the
clean sweep.
The clean sweeping.
Yeah.
And he wants to work with Sonic to figure it out, and so now Sonic is gonna like join the race as the Phantom Racer, and it's just a fun exchange. I really like it.
Oh, it's great because he just sits on Tails. Like he literally just sits on Tails as if he's not there. It's Eggman still remains like the heart of the series once they sort of got out of the I guess the Sonic Adventure era. I don't think Sonic
Forces era kind of.
Yeah, no, I think even Sonic Forces Eggman's pretty good. But
I
like,
mean, I thought you were talking about like the comic in general.
oh yeah, but like
not the games. Okay.
But yeah, like I would not say that they have made him a funny character. They have made him a very, in the ways that I don't particularly like the way they've handled Sonic characters, Sega generally. I really have no complaints about how Eggman is handled. I think they have given him a very distinct and strong identity.
Yeah. But
and geez, they let him have depth in Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, they gave us all those audio logs of him. I was surprised.
I swear to God, the character that you spend the least amount of time with probably has the most character growth in that game.
But I am looking forward to seeing where things go from here.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that's
I think, like, obviously, number one, they got to move forward on like something, and this feels sort of something related. This doesn't feel like I don't think this moves the needle on the Clutch, Surge, Mimic triangle at this point. That like that this resolves that or exposes that or moves that forward in a meaningful way. But
what I'm expecting is that's going to just move it forward, which is good, because too many IDW stories feel like they just spin their wheels at the end of the day.
What I am looking forward to is the idea that Clutch and Eggman could get into conflict, because Clutch is basically relying on Eggman's tech and destruction to just sort of, fuel his ambitions. But Eggman obviously does not want, like, Eggman's not going to want someone to use his crap. Even if it's garbage, he doesn't want you to touch his garbage.
Yeah, I imagine that's going to anger him.
Yeah, I think the idea of the one antagonist not liking the other antagonist having sort of clashing groups is interesting, especially if it exists outside of Sonic himself. That it is the conflict between two two characters who aren't Sonic.
My big worry, though, about that is that what if like Dr. Eggman just absolutely steamrolls him. Because, you know, his primary advantage right now is subterfuge. And I'm a little worried he's like that if like they come into conflict, he's just gonna immediately get starlined or something. And the last thing I want is another dead antagonist.
I am more inclined to believe that someone like Clutch, that they would never they may not directly come into contact, because Clutch is the guy who would use proxies. Like
Yeah.
like you don't necessarily have, you send Surge after him. And you have the Eggman Surge fight. Actually, wait. Was there an in 50? Was there an Eggman Surge fight?
No,
Yeah,
there
they
was
potentially
not.
did. No?
That they did. He did like manhandle her later, but in 50, Sonic. The only person Surge fought was Sonic.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think so, but I was second guessing myself. But yeah, that's you have the proxies go, because that's the nature of being a crime boss.
Well, I'm hoping that this whole restoration clean sweep arc has some really cool lasting payoff, because IDW needs something like that
I
right now.
I like
You
it.
think some of the other gang are going to be pissed at Sonic for working with Eggman?
I mean, they shouldn't be. Sonic's worked with Eggman plenty of times, including like
I
while Whisper was on the team with them.
I could potentially see that as a thing. It just becomes the question of, okay, Sonic's using Eggman tech. Does that get revealed in some meaningful way? Does that backfire? Can
Ooh.
How much does Eggman care about finding this out, and how much does Eggman care about, well, this is a way for me to get into Sonic?
What if
Oh, that
what if like
phrasing was wrong.
what if, oh, it wasn't.
I think it
It was
might have been.
Son Eggman. That's what that ship is called, I think. But Eggmanic. But
I don't like the age gap in that one. We may not know Eggman's exact age, but I don't think that works out.
let's just assume that Sonic is in his 20s now.
No, I'm not participating in the weird. Well, it's not the wrong porn, because all of the characters are 18 plus.
But anyway, it would be interesting if if Sonic had like a massive falling out with all of the Diamond Cutters. Although, ooh, would that would blow up Sonic Twitter. I do not
Cool.
want to have to see that.
But what if I want to blow up Sonic? What if it becomes the next Lanolin conflict? That, I don't know.
God, I'm not looking forward to that.
I think it would make it. Here's the thing, it would be a good story, and I don't care
Yeah,
what
it
Twitter
would.
thinks.
It also just, but it would. Although I'm not sure if IDW
Twitter doesn't
really
know
go
what a
in
good
that
story
direction.
is.
They do not know. So yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, and hopefully this isn't like the Eggperial City, where it's like lots of cool moments, and then I get to the end, I'm all like, huh. Guess that's it, huh? Okay. Archie has spoiled me too much. I'm sorry. In any case,
For the
that's
golden.
that was our final discussion point. So I guess we're done.
Well, we have to pitch what we've been doing on the site and emphasize that,
All right.
hey, everything that we do under Sonic Talk is done under the banner of Sonic Stadium, one of the internet's oldest Sonic fan communities over at sonicstadium.org. Go check it
And
out
the
today.
coolest.
We
We
have up-to-date Sonic news. Go ahead. We have up-to-date Sonic news. We've got message boards, which are still a thing. Go check them out. They're, we have a community there. We have plenty of... some of our members are starting to develop guides for some of the mobile activities.
Well, Speed Simulator anyway.
Now, Speed Simulator, because, like, Sonic... A lot of the other ones are like, hey... Just collect a bunch of cards. You got all the cards, great. You got the character, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
you can read great news stories like Paramount Sonic 1 and 2 heading back to theaters, but only on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 11 o'clock in the morning, because I don't know.
With the kids for $1 or
And
whatever.
also, so I have been working on a Sonic Rumble hands-on preview for the past few days. It's mostly going to be reiterating what I said here, but it's going to be in word form, so it's going to be better. You can check out loads of Sonic Rumble footage and some music over on our YouTube. And also, we should have an interview with a voice actor coming up sometime soon, because Dredd went over to an expo to get that. Finally, we have stuff happening in a few days, which we'll be able to tell you about soon.
I mean, hey, hey, it's June. I don't
Yeah.
know. There's stuff happening in June. There's a Monkey Ball game. There's probably
Sonic's
gonna be a
birthday.
comic.
Material there, yeah.
There's I don't know. I don't know. What are the odds that we actually get a Sonic trailer soon? I feel like they can't.
I'm certain we're going to get it at
Early
Summer
May, they
Games
were
Fest.
just annoying on social media, especially on Twitter, about, oh, it's coming. Somebody in this said they have it ready in the theater. It's going to be like the next day. Just you
Yeah,
wait.
that ended up being a bunch of nonsense. But I'm like 95% sure we're gonna get it at like Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, that's
Like that has to be the place at this point.
in the last Game Awards. No, a couple Game Awards back, they had Jim Carrey and the voice actor whose name I always forget that is the voice of Sonic. I will
Ben
never.
Schwartz.
I will never remember
Schwartz,
Ben
yeah.
Schwartz's name. There
Ben
is a
Schwartz,
gap
Ben
in my
Schwartz, Ben
brain that
Schwartz.
it will never commit to memory.
Huh.
So, like, I'm sure Paramount's more than happy to show a trailer there, or even just like a teaser. Like, hey,
Yeah, there was a time when I was thinking, yeah, we might be getting a trailer soon. That would affect our podcast. Then nothing happened.
who knows? We might get another one of those Sonic Central. That's the word. Things. It wouldn't surprise me if we got, because you figure, yeah. I mean, hey,
It's going to happen any month.
We've gotten one every year, and we've gotten one every year since 2021.
And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in June.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to announce some dumb mobile event that nobody's going to be happy with the announcement of in the event thing, and then they're gonna have to announce like whatever the next big cool toy from Jack's Pacific is going to be.
Well, I hope that Jack's Pacific gets some cool new obscure Sonic toys. Give me a perfect Chaos playset.
I hope we never see King Ice again. Please, can we please just launch that into the sun?
No, we've got to get our jewel encrusted Mephiles.
No, I mean, hey,
necklace.
do you want a heavily discounted gold Sylvester the Cat from what is it, the remake sequel thing to what's the basketball movie? I don't even remember.
Space Jam.
Space Jam. They have Space Jam. They made Space Jam pendants. If you want a jewel crusted SpongeBob, you can get a jewel crusted SpongeBob for some reason. It's nightmare. They're a nightmare company.
But also our next episode will probably be a little closer than usual as well. I don't know. We're gonna have to work it out, but we will certainly have some reasons to do that. And I think that's everything. Shigs, you have anything to push?
We're here to announce Mario and Sonic 2024. It's not launching until substantially after the Olympics, but yeah, it's coming. No, it's not.
All right. Okay, that looks like that's going to be it for us for this episode. We'll see you back in 2 weeks. So we're trying to do that schedule now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We'll see how that works out.
Peace all.
See ya.
See you next time.